what Diane said we need.
Okay, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Okay, today is Tuesday, March 5th, Super Tuesday. Hope you're all voted today. It's 9 a.m. and it's the regular meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Here.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboon.
Here.
Rusty Robinson.
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Here. All 5 members are present. We're ready to conduct business today. At this time, we'll ask Pastor Arthur Fox to step forward and do our invocation. Would you all please rise? Thank you for coming, Pastor. Last year I had the duties, and so a lot of pressure was on me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good read from Psalm 25, verses 8 through 10. Good and upright is the Lord, therefore he instructs sinners in the way, leads the humble in what is right, and teaches the humble his way. All the paths of the Lord are steadfast love and faithfulness for those who keep his covenant and his testimonies. Let's pray. O Lord God, Lord of heaven and earth, and King of kings, and Governor of governors, and Supervisor of supervisors, we come to you today in the days of trial when our nation is tested in ways that have not been tests that have not been given in many years. We thank you for this respected body of leaders before whom we sit. We thank you for their labors. And we ask, O Lord, you would be merciful to us and not give us the things we deserve, but the things that will show forth your mercy. Please preserve this bit of heaven here in Hanford that is a reflection of your goodness. Give wisdom to these men and women who are serving here. Help them to serve well and do us good. And help us to have utmost of respect for them. Grant your help in this meeting, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
It's all me in the salute to our nation's flag. Ready? Salute.
Which stands the nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know.
Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead and go over to Women in History Month, and we'll turn over to the administration. Curia Martinez. Morning, Curia. Oh, and today is a very special day for Curia. Is it your birthday today? It is. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
No pressure.
Good morning, board members. Curia Martinez, County Administrative Officer. So March is the month where we take a look back at the history and honor many achievements of women throughout history and the vast strides made by women today. The annual observance of National Women's History Week was declared in proclamation by President Carter in 1980 and was declared a National Women's History Month by Congress in 1987. Women's history takes a new look at all that have gone before and tells the story in a shared past from different perspectives, not rewriting history, but presenting and expanding a version of history that recognizes and honors the accomplishments of women. Women's history takes a new look at all that have gone before and tells the story of the past. This year, each of our board members and myself selected a recipient of the recognition for their commitment to public service and government leadership. We would like to take Marianne Rhodes and Bob Henry for the flowers. And at this time, I will be calling the individual women by name. And then if they can just come up and we will give them some flowers, and I will be reading their bios. So for District 1, Joe Neves nominated Cindy Rodriguez. Cindy Rodriguez is very active in the Portuguese community in Kings County. She serves on committees of the Stratford and Pismo Beach Portuguese celebrations and assists with those annual events. Cindy is a past president of the Kings County Cabrillo Club and is currently the state president of the Cabrillo Civic Clubs of California. She is an active member of the Portuguese Fraternal Society of America, which promotes Portuguese culture, education, and charitable activities. Cindy is self-employed in a catering business, providing food services for many events in Kings County and the Valley. Next, for District 2, Supervisor Valley nominated Gloria Barrera, a beloved resident of Avenal. She is recognized for outstanding commitment to community service and compassionate leadership in Kings County. She is married to Edgar and is a mother of 4 Gloria embodies the family values in her community engagement, fostering a supportive environment for all. Gloria is a cornerstone of the Avenel community, actively participating in local initiatives, particularly those associated with her church. Her impacts expand beyond her church activities. She is a driving force in fundraising for various community causes. Despite challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, Gloria's dedication has only grown stronger. She has led the community organizing 4 major fundraising events in 2024 alone, raising $20,000 to support families grieving the loss of loved ones. Her leadership and personal involvement have been instrumental in those endeavors, making significant positive impacts in the community. Congratulations. Next, for District 3, we have Kristen Clark. Dr. Kristen Clark is the Chancellor of West Hills Community College District and is a trailblazer in higher education with over 30 years in administrative experience. Her visionary leadership at West Hills College, where she served as president, resulted in the establishment of strategic vision focused on student equity and achievement. Under her guidance, the college implemented innovative programs, doubled its endowment, and received prestigious national awards. Dr. Clark's dedication to education extends beyond her college role. She actively serves on several boards and contributes to academic discourse through teaching and research. Her exemplary achievement makes her a beacon of inspiration of women in education and beyond. Kristen holds a doctorate in higher education management from University of Pennsylvania, a master's degree in educational technology, and a bachelor of science in business administration. Her academic contributions include teaching graduate level courses at California State University Fullerton, co-authoring an international white paper on student success, guest lecturing on leadership topics, and present at numerous state, national, and international presentations. Thank you. Congratulations. For District 4, Rusty Robinson, we nominated Candy Vallon. She is a lifelong resident of Hanford. She has dedicated over 5 decades to the jewelry business. Starting at Robert's Jewelry at just 14 years old, she eventually became part owner after 26 years of dedicated service. In 1996, Candace and her partner, Cindy, embarked on a new venture, opening Candace and Company Jewelers, which has since become a beloved fixture in downtown Hanford for the past 28 years. Candace's commitment and hard work and passion for her business have created a welcoming, family-oriented environment at Candace and Company's Jewelers, leading to recognition of best downtown business on multiple occasions. Her deep connection to the community is evident in the personalized service she and her team provide in making every customer feel valued and understood. Beyond her business endeavors, Candace embodies qualities of courage and commitment. She She faces challenges with a positive mindset, using them as stepping stones for personal growth and professional growth. Her resilience and dedication to community have made her a respected figure in Hanford's downtown area. Congratulations, Candy. Next, we have Nanette. Nanette Villarreal's unwavering commitment to improving the lives of Kings County residents is truly inspiring. Over her 19 years at Kings United Way, she has led with compassion and dedication, working tirelessly along her team to build a caring community where neighbors help neighbors. Her work with homelessness and battered women and children prior to joining United Way demonstrates her deep-seated commitment to making a difference in the lives of those in most need. Through her leadership, Kings United Way has made significant stride in achieving its visions, operating vital systems like countywide 211 system and homelessness management information system. Nanette's impact extends beyond her professional life. As a mother, a grandmother, and a caregiver, she embodies the values of kindness, compassion, and generosity. Her contributions to Kings County are immeasurable, and her legacy of service will continue to inspire others for years to come. Congratulations. And lastly, we have Stephanie Huddleston. Stephanie Huddleston is the Chief Police for the City of Hanford. Stephanie Huddleston's dedication to serving her community shines brightly through her remarkable career in law enforcement. Starting as a probation officer, she has risen through the ranks to become the first woman police chief of Hanford. Her journey is a testament to her commitment, hard work, and leadership. As police chief, Stephanie oversees all aspects of the department, including patrol, investigation, and community policing. Her passion for mentoring youth is evident in her involvement with programs like the Hanford PAL, where she helps build positive relationships with the police department and the local children. Stephanie's academic achievement includes a bachelor's and master's degree in criminology, reflect her commitment to continuous learning and professional development. Her pursuit of doctorate in criminal justice leadership further demonstrate her dedication to excellence in her field. Beyond her professional accomplishment, Stephanie is a devoted wife and mother, embodying the values of family and community. Her leadership as the highest ranking female officer in Hanford's history is an inspiration to us all. Congratulations. This-
We're done?
I was just going to close it off.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a chance to honor those trailblazers who have shattered glass ceilings, those who have fought tirelessly for equitable and everyday heroes who have made a difference in the community. This month, let's reflect on the progress we've made and recommit ourselves to a more inclusive and equitable world for us all.
Thank you very much. So congratulations to all recipients. Would any of the supervisors like to talk about their candidate? Supervisor Neves?
No, I'm good. She's already given me the evil eye, you know. I should have made her sit down there.
Supervisor Fagundes?
There wasn't enough said about you. Thank you for everything you've done. Appreciate everything.
Supervisor Valley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gloria, when I reached out to City Manager Anthony Lopez and Mayor Preciado the other day, they said overwhelmingly that Gloria was the right choice to represent our district, and that her compassionate leadership out of Avenel stands out, especially when something sad happens in Avenel and there's grieving families. Gloria is known to step up, Mr. Chairman. In fact, last year she fundraised about $20,000 to go and help people. And so on top of local initiatives, she's out there in the city of Avenel. And Avenel has a lot of good people, as we know, just like the fabric of our county. But the women, they stand out. And so thank you, Laura. Thank you to your husband. I don't know if any of your 4 children are here today, but I see some of the children. All right. I know you're proud of mom. I want to thank Councilman Vertigo for coming from Avenel, Mayor Preciado. I see the police chief, city manager, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. And lastly, on top of the women being recognized today, it's a good opportunity to let people know that the strong women leadership is here in Kings County. You see our CAO and our county council, and we have a lot of women elected officials, the DAs in the back end, women department heads who are doing a good job here in Kings County. We want to thank them for that. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Supervisor Robinson?
So this is a pleasure for me because I've known my candidate since I was about 5 years old. And she's one of the longest serving business owners in downtown Hanford. So thanks to her contributions and the contributions of Cindy and her staff, they just made it a staple for downtown Hanford. And I'm so glad that they chose to continue operations in downtown Hanford because it wouldn't be the same without you. So thank you for doing this today.
Martinez?
So I'm always humbled to present this item every year, especially as a woman and a mother. I always see it as an opportunity to showcase the strength of women in the community. And so thank you. At this time, we just ask your board to adopt the resolution.
Thank you. And for myself, you know, Kristen Clark's always been a leader in education and in the community. I don't believe you're from here, but you came here and you made it your residence, you made it your home, and you led by example at West Hills College, and now I believe you're in Kalinga at this time, right?
Where I work,
Yeah, and
But I'm a resident here. and-
she's looking to retire, and so I wanted to honor her for this achievement and thank her for her services to our community. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, would it be all right if you invite any of the women to the podium if they have anything they want to say?
Would you
This
all
morning.
like to say anything?
They don't have to, but at least give them an opportunity.
They all asked me in advance if they had to, and I.
I see last year I nominated Michelle Brown. She's in the audience here today.
Nice.
We all have women in our lives that have shown us how to be men. I know for myself, I look back at the history of my family in Kings County, and I have a photograph of my great-great-grandmother getting off the train as she marched for women's rights, women's suffragette march in San Francisco in 1911. My great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother. It's important to have leadership in our lives as young children. We look up to our mothers more than we look up to our fathers, and they kind of form us to who we are today. So you can either give them credit or give them blame, whoever you are.
Are you trying to make us cry?
So with that, I'm looking for a motion to accept this.
So movement, Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Neves, second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson. Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 5 have voted in favor, and congratulations to all of you for being honored today. And so next year, we'll do the same thing, and it's not hard. It's very easy to pick someone out of our group in our district, and I look forward to it every year. So thank you.
Make sure you get your pictures too.
Okay. Adam. And we'll get the photos to you. Each one of us will get the photos to you, and the next couple weeks or so.
Get
Okay.
nice family photos out front too.
We'll move on now to unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any other items of interest to the public.
Thanks, Cindy.
That's within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. 2 minutes are allowed.
I actually have a list of people. The first speaker is Lupe Villa.
Must be election day.
Yes, it is.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Lupe Villa with Kings County Elections Office. Just want to give you guys a quick update on today's activities. As you may know, today's Super Tuesday, so we.
Hang on, we have a few minutes. Let
Yeah.
it get out.
Sure.
That's fine.
Will do.
I know you're busy today.
Yeah, we are.
Did you count my ballot?
It got flagged actually, so we'll talk about it after.
Well, I said a whole bunch. Yeah, as long as one goes through, we're good.
So just a reminder, today's Super Tuesday, so I'm hoping that you encourage your folks, your constituents, people in the public, come out and vote. We're operating 7 centers today until 8 p.m. We have a center across the quad area in the Caroline lobby area. Our office is open. We're at COS. We're at Lemoore Civic Center, Office of Education, having a recreation department in Senior Center in Corcoran. And our office will be there till 8 p.m. today. So we're expecting a huge turnout. So far, we have about 10,000 ballots that came in. In the last few hours, we probably got more activity than we had in the last week. So it's picking up, and I'm hoping that they come out today. So, and also a reminder that we do have a special election for those folks that reside in Congressional District 20, which is all of Lemoore and part of North, East, and West Hanford. So those ballots went out. Those ballots are coming back into the office. That election is going to be in 2 weeks, Tuesday, March 19th, and that is for the Congressional District. And again, just a reminder, come out and vote. Make sure you cast your votes and make sure it counts.
Thank you. Lupe. Appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. You guys have a good day.
The next speaker is Dominic Tyberski. He's still here.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dominic Tyberski, Public Works Director. I'm here to introduce our new fiscal analyst, Go Inquest. Go started with HSA in November of 2014 as a security officer. 8 months later, she transferred to their fiscal unit, where she worked until transferring to Public Works on February 19th. So I'd like to give her an opportunity to say a few words.
Good morning.
Morning, welcome.
You have 2 minutes or less.
I think I've
A lot of pressure. Thank you. Thank you, Dominic, for allowing me and choosing me to join your team. Good morning, members of the board. It's nice to formally meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic.
The next speaker is Michelle Brown.
Morning, Michelle. Well, last year, Michelle Brown was my choice for Women in History, so we took a big old 8x10 glossy. And she keeps it on her desk.
I do.
It's underneath the mat, but it's on her desk.
I do have my award on my desk. I'm very proud of that. Thank you. Yes, I'm Michelle Brown. I'm the Executive Director of Main Street Hanford. First, I want to thank you all for honoring the women today, and the way that you do that every year is wonderful, and I'm so glad I was able to be here today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the homeless situation in Hanford and the county, and not just in downtown Hanford, but in general. This problem has gotten so bad. It's so sad to see. As somebody that grew up in Hanford, and I'm used to, being downtown with my family and going to Civic Park and Superior Dairy. I think 7 years ago, when I first started working this job, the situation was not as bad. And when there was a service center being proposed for downtown Hanford, everybody was beside themselves and they did not want this. But that situation is completely different now. We've seen the population rise every year, every day. There's weekends when I'm downtown with my family and there are more homeless people walking around than guests. And what happens in a community when we have such a high population of homelessness, it's perceived as dirty or unsafe, and that has a huge negative impact on the downtown businesses, who are small business owners, our friends, our neighbors, your friends, your neighbors. So over the last year and a half, we've started a conversation with the small business owners and stakeholders in downtown Hanford. And it's been, the consensus is we have to do something. We have to figure out the solution. We need to look to our experts and to our neighbors and neighboring communities to see how they're, what solutions are they doing? How is this working for them? And how can we do something in our community? We have to help our small business owners. We have to continue the legacy of downtown Hanford, our historic community, for our children and our grandchildren. And right now, I feel like we're not doing that. A business owner in downtown Hanford, the first thing they do when they get to work is assess the situation. Is there someone sleeping in front of my door? Was someone there? Did they light a fire? Did they leave trash, drugs, paraphernalia? Did they go to the restroom in front of their door? These are everyday occurrences for almost every single business owner in downtown Hanford. So today I wanted to tell you that in my conversations with several businesses, we've had meetings where we have 60 business owners that attend, and everybody is urging the county and the city to please use your resources to help find a solution for these small business owners to hopefully decrease homelessness, help those who want to be helped, and at least find shelter. It's not just for their safety, but for ours as well. I think in closing, I just want to say that I've spoken a lot with City of Hanford Police. I've spoken a lot with KCAO members, and I know we at Main Street Hanford fully support the KCAO project that's being proposed and this project that you're discussing today. So thank you so much for listening and for having me. And again, thank you for honoring the women, and congratulations to all of them.
Thank you. So at this time, any comments on homelessness? We're going to do a study session here in a few minutes. So it'd probably be more meaningful to say it after we have our presentation. That way we don't get lost in the crowd. So do we have any other?
The next speaker is Chuck Kinney.
Chuck Kinney. Morning, Chuck.
Chuck Kinney, Community Development Agency Director. I just wanted to come up and let you guys know that last night, your Planning Commission held a meeting that they had continued one item over from last month. That item was conditional use permit number 23-05 for Sand Ridge Partners. It was a resubmittal of previously approved conditional use permit 2106, which had expired. And that permit is to construct and operate a beef harvesting plant over outside of Lemoore with a capacity of harvesting maximum of 210 cattle per day and not allowing more than 420 cattle on site at a time. It was approved by a 3-2 vote. And so I just wanted you guys to be aware of that.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. You're welcome.
The next speaker is Amory Marple.
Morning, Anne-Marie. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
The next speaker is Anthony Lopez.
Mr. Lopez.
Got a congregation.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and Supervisors. I'm going to share my time with, see, there you are. with the mayor as well, but just do want to recognize and congratulate Gloria Valeros one more time. She is a pillar of our community. Anytime anything happens and she's aware, like, Tony, is there something I can do to help? I'm ready. I can get donations for me. I'll get tacos going. She takes care of the whole community. Doesn't matter who they are. She truly loves and inspires each and every one of us. And you can see her whole family's here. We had some community members here. Councilmember Verdugo's here. Rotary was here, Mr. Tuttle. So just again, really applaud and thank you for honoring her. And I'm going to pass it on to the mayor now.
Good morning, Chair, board members. I just want to thank and congratulate all 6 women that won the 2024 award. I believe they're the driving force, the backbone of everybody here, beginning with our mothers. Also, I just want to thank the board for being inclusive and having these awards every year. I thank you for that. And I would like to take the opportunity to present our new police chief, Cecilio Velasco, here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just so honored and I feel blessed for being able to come back home to Kings County and serve. Formerly worked with the Corcoran Police Department for 10 years before going over to Delano Police Department and working another 10 years there. And I'm happy to be back and help out keeping Kings County, Avenel and Kings County safe and secure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
That's all the speaker cards. I do have some that will want to speak during the
Okay.
unscheduled.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on now to approval of the minutes. Item A, report out of closed session from regular meeting, February 27th, 2024.
Yes, thank you. There is nothing to report from closed session.
Okay, item B will be approval of minutes from regular meeting, February 27th, 2024. Moved by Supervisor Fagundes, second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Okay, 5 in favor. Item has been passed. And we'll move on now to consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are enacted by one motion, or any member can pull an item at their discretion.
So move.
Moved by Supervisor Fagundes.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Valley. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor. Consent calendar has been passed as presented. At this time, we're going to go away from the schedule here. We're going to go to the study session, and that is going to be run by Administration Curia Martinez. Morning, Curia.
Good morning, Board Supervisors. So I have a quick presentation. It shouldn't take longer than about 5 minutes. I have about 8 slides. Christine, can you go ahead and share the presentation? Okay, so over the past several years, the county has been actively engaged in discussions surrounding homelessness, exploring its impact and potential solutions. Various stakeholders have expressed an interest in establishing a temporary county shelter on the former county jail site. This proposal aims to provide immediate relief while long-term solutions are developed. Developing a temporary county shelter will require dedicated resources from staff, including the development of ordinances and the identification of funding sources. The study session is intended to present the proposal and seek guidance from the board for the next steps. Next slide, please. So quick overview, I'm going to talk a little bit about the type of housings, just to kind of cover those bases, talk about some current emergency shelters and transitional housing projects we have, and some permanent housing projects that have already been approved and are underway. I will discuss the proposal overview and then discuss about a similar project and then some factors to consider. So the type of housing here in this slide, we discuss and this is actually from the source of the Kings County 2019 homelessness gap analysis. These documents is from 2019. There is currently one being updated, but I did think this was a good slide to show a little bit of definitions of the type of housing. So an emergency shelter is a facility with the primary purpose of providing temporary shelter for homelessness people. Transitional housing is a program that provides temporary housing and supportive services for up to 24 months with the intent of a person to move forward towards permanent housing. Rapid Housing is a program that provides financial assistance to housing subsidized and supportive services to help those experiencing homelessness to be quickly rehoused and stabilized. This is considered more permanent housing. Permanent housing is designed to provide housing and supportive services on a long-term basis to formerly homelessness people and that have a disabling condition. The idea presented today falls into the category of emergency shelter. Next slide. So here, I also wanted to show a little bit about the current emergency shelters and transitional housing that we have. It is very limited. KCAO does have a shelter, but it's for domestic violence, women and men. HSA can shelter individuals that are in CalWorks, but you have to qualify, and one element is having children. King's Gospel Mission does have a few small programs and a few rental units for single adults, and that is really it for single adults in sheltering spaces now that Project Roomkey is closed. Next slide, please. So here are some permanent housing projects that are underway. Triangle Courtyard, which was presented last week. Those are 20 units and it's estimated to be completed by April of this year. The Sunrise Apartments, those are 22 apartments to be completed in May of this year. And then the North Star Project, which are 72 units, that's estimated to open as late as May of this year. And then Behavioral Health has a current project that is going to come to your board here in a few weeks, and it's 27 units at Holiday Lodge. Again, these are permanent housing projects that are currently underway. So at the Kings County Homeless Collaborative meeting, they meet monthly, and most recently at the February meeting, an idea that originated from the Sheriff's Office was presented related to a temporary shelter that homelessness individuals could go for a safe sleeping during nighttime while KCAO builds their low barrier shelter as part of a larger service center project. It is recognized that it will be likely a minimum of 2 years or more before individuals can be served at the KCAO site, as there's still need for funding for that project. One location proposed by the Sheriff's Office is the exercise yard in the old jail facility. This location is on county government complex. Collaborative members and attendees asked a variety of questions. They shared ideas and expressed willingness to partner on a project and appreciation of leaders trying to do something than wait until the shelter is built. There is another agenda item for a federal earmark funding later in our regular agenda items, requesting for deputy sheriffs in the amount of $300,000 to oversee this project. This is an image of what it potentially could look like, and the source is Placer County. Placer County did a similar project about 2 years ago. Next slide, please. During my research, I was trying to see some other local jurisdictions that did a similar project, and the closest is the city of Tulare. They have a temporary shelter while their permanent structure is underway. Those projects are fully funded, and their larger shelter is 100% fully funded. The city's approach was a phasing plan. So basically, their phase one was the temporary encampment, which is currently serving approximately 140 individuals, while their permanent shelter is being built. The city did indicate that they pay approximately $50,000 a month, and that serves because they have 24/7 surveillance, and they also have staff who is dedicated to provide services and also is able to be that liaison within the city and resources. So next slide, please. So here are some factors to consider. Currently, there is no dedicated funding for this project. Should the county decide to use funds like those available through the American Rescue Plan Act, a 4/5 vote would be required for the appropriation, as we don't have it currently budgeted. Establishing a temporary shelter incurs ongoing expenses, including costs for the setup of facilities such as water hookups and restroom facilities. Operating the temporary shelter will incur ongoing personnel costs for staffing, management, and supportive services. There will be ongoing costs with refuse services to maintain the cleanness and sanitation at the shelter site. Initial startup costs will include the purchase of tents and other necessary infrastructure to establish the temporary shelter. Another factor to consider is the county is currently undergoing a space planning project to expand county offices due to the dire need for office space. This project would be considered alongside with the temporary shelter to ensure both initiatives can be successfully accommodated. It's also essential to consider the risk and liability associated with establishing a temporary shelter. For example, in 2021, Placer County faced legal challenges and significant costs after closing a homeless encampment, which was a temporary shelter on county due to overcrowding, fire hazard, and unsafe living condition. Placer County too stood up the shelter as temporary, and they were involved in a class action lawsuit incurred due to the cleanup and disposal of personal property. This case serves as a reminder that such projects can entail major hurdles and expenses, despite initial perception of low cost. The current plan for the permanent shelter is still underway, but it is facing funding issues. It could take up to years to open the permanent site. Given the timeline, it would be difficult for the county to halt a temporary shelter before the permanent one is operational. The county must develop a comprehensive plan for operation of the temporary shelter. This plan includes details of who will run the shelter, how the tents will be allocated, the capacity the county will take on, and other operational consideration. Developing this plan is crucial to ensure that the shelter operates efficiently and effectively. And then for my closing, county department heads have been collaborating to explore additional site location and research homelessness, as there is currently, not a plan in place. County administration has been working to establish a position that will provide guidance on homelessness issues, oversee efforts to address homelessness, and seek grant funding opportunity. Should your board have consensus to move forward with the position as such, that could be established within the next few weeks. Then, would go through a recruitment process. This position is in early stages, but it can assist with planning. Establishing a well-defined plan with funding sources is crucial, and this concludes my presentation as we seek direction from the board. That concludes my presentation, and I do know the sheriff wanted to share some images, and so we're prepared to share those. If, Mr. Chair, you would like us to share
We'll
those?
go right in the sheriff presentation too.
Okay. I don't know. Robert, is Dave here?
Going to be online.
Okay. I don't know which ones you guys want us to share.
He was hoping that you would show the drone footage or
Okay.
aircraft
So
footage. I know it's a little long, but maybe not the full 5 minutes of it.
Christine, could you show the drone footage? This one's the aerial one. Okay, there we go. Dave, are you online? Do you want to add any comments to this?
This is the one that the gal spoke on last week, that they had their own police and fire.
Correct, exactly. This is out 12500 block of Houston Avenue. And, along with the obviously the blight that you see there from the homeless, if you look off into the distances of, there's people that live here and are in tune to this every day, with people trespassing across their property or dumping garbage onto the property. And this just follows the slough. This is going from south to north. Approximately a half mile north of that area would be where Koinonia Church is, kind of in that area of the county.
About how many residents do you have out there or had?
I'm going to let somebody else answer that
Okay.
question. I'm not sure. A lot.
Mr. Chairman, Sheriff Robinson here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. All yours.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the time today, and I know it's a touchy subject, and housing people at the old jail is something that maybe isn't ideal for anyone, but it's kind of just gotten to the point where we have to do something. And so, my challenge to the board is, let's do something. Let's make a difference. And the people who live out near this area where the video is showing, and the people who live over near Shepherd and Hume, which was the other large homeless encampment, they're having to look at this every single day. And I take notice of the comments that were made last week by the speaker, and I appreciate that she came and spoke. And so, but we should all be concerned of her comments of, you know, we have our own police and we have our own fire. And in our society, that's just not allowed. And so we as government really have to do something. And so, you know, my idea is if we take the old exercise yard at the jail, which is located at the corner of Lacey and Kings County Drive, we can create a safe place for people to sleep at night. And that's the proposal, you know, before you today that we're looking for just some direction on to move this thing forward. Jeff Gardner and I have spoke, and he's willing to take the lead on this, obviously with funding involved, and I'm willing to take the lead on the safety and security for the people that are going to come sleep there at night. Catherine, if you could, there's a couple photos of Hume and Shepherd as well. There's still photos. Yeah, there's one. And so, you know, you kind of have to look, use your eyes, but you can see all the trash in the field that was left behind after the encampment was cleared out several months ago. This is now incorporated in the city limits. It used to be a county area. And then there's one more photo too. And so, you know, I take note of the location that I took that photo is because I'm literally in the front yard and the roadway of people who have to live in that area. And so this is what, you know, their families come home to every single day, and their kids look out and see every single day. And so, you know, I challenge the board to just take this issue on and not skirt away from it, because it's time that we do something about this. The NIMBY, not in my backyard, you know, also applies to the county government complex. And so, you know, I've heard some feedback from others who think that this location isn't necessarily ideal. And I'll speak to that, in that there is no ideal location to house something like this. I don't care where you put it. It's, you know, people aren't going to want it there. But on the government complex, we also operate a 24/7, 365 jail facility where we release people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so I challenge people that say, well, this isn't a great location. Okay, well then tell me why it was a great location for a jail, but it's not a great location for a homeless shelter. You know, it's time that we do something. And so it's before your board today to just give a head nod to say, okay, let's do something about it. Is the plan perfectly in place? Absolutely not. But it is something that we can work towards, and we can help, you know, business owners. And so, you know, envision yourself, and if every day you came home and you looked out your front window and you saw that there was a tent in the front of your sidewalk, which is actually allowed right now under the Boise decision. The county government complex, technically, under the Boise decision, a homeless person can come and sleep in the county government complex at night, right now. And so whether you take action or not today, if somebody wants to come sleep in the government complex at night, they absolutely can do that under the Boise decision. So it's really one of those necessary evils that we just have to move forward with and do something about. Yale Exercise Yard is a great location. It's kind of a hidden location. Everybody's driven by it, you know, that's worked at the county for, you know, decades. And I think it's a good spot that we can do something and create a safe environment. One thing we learned when touring the Tulare facility and talking to the chief over there was the homeless are targeted because people don't want them in front of their businesses or houses. And so they have issues with in their parks of, you know, them being targeted with, you know, pellet guns shooting at them and Molotov cocktails, et cetera. And so, you know, my idea is that, you know, in partnering with Jeff Gardner, is we can create a safe place for them to sleep at night. And it's just a nighttime location until Jeff gets up his permanent location, but it's a location where they could come and we could have an interaction with the homeless and have a safe place. And obviously with my involvement, there's going to be accountability. I'm not one to turn a blind eye to drug use and other types of crimes. And so at the jail location, we would look out for that. And if somebody does commit crimes, they would go to jail, which is where they should go, where we have a different interaction with them. It's a temporary location. Your board knows that the proposal is for the jail to be torn down, in the very near future. And so we might operate this location for a year or so before the jail's torn down and then have to find a new location. But it gives us an opportunity to do something and to help the community and you know, and then hopefully learn from it, because we're gonna, if your board pushes this forward, we're gonna learn from it. We're gonna make mistakes and we're gonna grow and we're gonna learn from it. But, you know, it's a unique location where we can actually do something for the better of our community. I've been reaching out to sheriffs across the state, and Sutter County actually operates a nighttime only shelter. And so I actually have some information from them as well that we can help copy and create a plan going forward. And so I'll end my comments there, but I just, you know, I strongly encourage this board. Don't, you know, we can't put our head in the sand any longer. And so I strongly encourage the board to move this idea forward and let us do something about it finally and create a safe place for people that are homeless to sleep at night, and allow business owners to be able to call the police department or the sheriff's office in the county area and say, hey, I have somebody here that needs a safe place to go at night. So that way they're not sleeping in my doorway, and you know, and we have an interactive opportunity to, you know, to get them an opportunity to have a shower and a safe place to sleep, and give them some food. But more importantly, have that interaction where we can hopefully direct them to longer term solutions and social services. So I appreciate the board's time this morning. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person at the Western State Sheriff's Conference in Reno. And I know it's a hot topic, but I really encourage this board to move this project forward. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate your comments and your slides. At this time, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to public comments. I think we might as well start
Do you
with,
have two speaker cards, Emery Marple?
okay, Emery. We'll go with Mark Kyrus first. Mayor.
Good morning.
You're the mayor, right?
Introduce myself here.
Okay, sorry.
Not the, good morning, Chairman Verboen, supervisors and staff. My name is Mark Kyrus. I'm the Vice Mayor of City of Hanford. I'm also the chair of the Kings County Homeless Collaborative. And this is, we go back to that picture. I think it's a great basis to start. That was just the last picture that was up at Human Shepherd. One thing you have to remember is that is after the encampment was removed and cleanup had been started. And you can still see the problems that we incur out there. I'm here this morning to request the Kings County Board of Supervisors to consider approving the voluntary safe overnight sleeping facility to assist the homeless in our community. Kings County Sheriff Dave Robinson, as you've heard, several electeds along with staff from both the city of Hanford and the county of Kings have met to discuss the preliminary steps and actions necessary to have a voluntary safe overnight sleeping facility. And I'll say that in the fact that we all understand the Brown Act. As an elected and as a representative of the city of Hanford, only 2 members of the council can have a discussion on a topic at a specific time. That's the same with the Board of Supervisors. So there has been a little bit of a disconnect with the conversational piece, and I apologize to any of the supervisors that feel or have felt that maybe this information wasn't brought to them, but we're trying to do this in a timely manner, also sharing and understanding the parameters of the Brown Act. And I didn't want to stand here in front of you and talk to you without having information available and be able to share with you. As you're aware, homelessness here in Kings County, and particularly the city of Hanford, has steadily increased, having a direct impact on our community, and as previously stated, especially our downtown Hanford businesses. This is who it's affecting. Now, the city of Hanford is the largest city in the county of Kings. We take a brunt of what occurs, and homelessness has been a direct impact on us and our community. Anybody that's here, that has walked downtown, visited businesses, you've experienced it, you've seen it. We've all had encounters one way or another, and it's time, as the sheriff said, it's time to do something. Recent discussions have occurred in using the old, what I'll call the recreational area of the Kings County Jail. The proposed location will allow the offering of assistance with caseworkers, support services, and hopes to ultimately providing temporary to permanent housing for the homelessness in our community. At the recent Kings County Homeless Collaborative meeting, we had a general discussion regarding this. We need to bring the stakeholders in. We need to bring those people that are involved in providing services to our community to the table as well. And we've made that offer. An additional step is a hope to bring the project to fruition. Tonight, the Hanford City Council will be updating our camping ordinance and revision of our municipal code to be presented for adoption. This ordinance adoption will demonstrate the city of Hanford's support and commitment to keeping our community safe. As you may already know, the Kings County Community Action Organization, or KCAO, is working diligently to bring a low barrier shelter and navigation center to include a centralized kitchen and food bank to our county in the area of 10th Avenue and Hanford-Amana Road. The reality is this project is at least 2 years away. They are working very hard to get the funding to bring these services available to our community. But again, we need to do something. Until KCAO is able to construct a low barrier shelter navigation center and to meet the requirements of Martin versus Boise, which the sheriff addressed earlier, that's the court decision, is what we are bound to, what we're being held to and how we act. We have to be able to provide a shelter bed available for the homeless in the community if we want to, have, move them from off our streets, out of our public properties, or, and to get and we're just not there yet. It's just going to take some time, but they are working and getting that funding, and we are actively working along with them. Hanford, as a result of the KCAO project, City Council previously dedicated $1 million of our community development block grant funding to assist KCAO with their future project. And we're committed to that. By supporting the volunteer overnight sleeping facility, we'll have the opportunity to stakeholders to address any potential concerns which may arise prior to the opening of the future low barrier shelter and to be in compliance with Boise. That's the ultimate goal here, is to be in compliance with the Boise decision and provide a safe place for our homeless in the community, a safe place to sleep. So in closing, I want to thank you for your time and your attentiveness. I strongly request the support of the Board of Supervisors to move positive forward with this project or request. And if you have any questions, I'll gladly attempt to answer any or provide any information that I may. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anne-Marie?
Thank you. Good morning. Anne-Marie Marple, Executive Director and CEO for the Hanford Chamber of Commerce. As a voice for local business, I ask the Board of Supervisors to take action on a solution presented to you today regarding temporary shelter for the unhoused. If there is no decision made and we continue to hold out for future development of a project, then we allow for the current struggles business owners are having to continue without support. The current issues with unhoused in the downtown area include potential decrease in flow of customer traffic. It creates a less desirable location for new businesses. Trash, shopping carts, and other paraphernalia are on their premises or adjoining lots. There is trespassing and sleeping on business premises, vandalism, and fires. Complaints are made to business owners from customers and staff, and safety can also be an issue. All of this is mentioned additional hardship, stress, and time wasted by business owners to have to handle on their own, on top of the occasional harassment received by the individual causing the issue. The chamber office is located in the downtown area, so I myself have experienced this firsthand, but I'm also fortunate to be on city property. However, just 2 weeks ago, I received a call from a member located nearby who was calling to seek advice on next steps since the individual at her shop has been more dangerous and now starting fires. Her current options are limited. The interesting thing to share is we are a caring community who offers kindness and compassion first. And it can be said that from some business owners that they deal with it along with the other obstacles that come with just owning a business. However, they still deserve support whenever there is a chance to provide it. And if a plan for current relief is presented, I feel that it should be considered. Please help in creating a solution that starts now that will create an environment for local business to thrive. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Who do I have next?
Castleman.
Mr. Castleman, good morning.
Good morning. Chairman, Board of Supervisors. My name is Jim Castleman. I'm the president of the board of Main Street Hanford. And you've heard a lot of the issues. Michelle Brown spoke very well. Emery spoke very well. Mark Kyrish from the city. It's time to put skin in the game. We've got a huge problem. And I commend you all for taking this on, but we've got to view this as kind of a stopgap to get to our navigation center, which we fully support at Main Street. There's lots of issues to get there. I saw the list to think through, and I think the time has come that we need to move forward on this. And the way we're going to win this battle is by all of us. The city is modifying the camping ordinance. They're doing some ADA revisions, as Mark said. It's time for all of us. We all live and work here, whether it be in Avenel, Corcoran, Kettleman City, Hanford, or wherever. We do a lot of business in Hanford. Our downtown is suffering greatly from this issue right now. And I think the more that all of us can do to step forward and make these things happen, we can't wait any longer. The time has come. I encourage you to go forward with this so that we can start moving towards where we have a little bit more control over the situation in our community. So thank you very much for taking it on. I think the time has come, though, to move forward with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Sarah Hacker.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the board taking a look and bringing up the study session. I did want to also put in the minds of this board that while the district attorney's office is in support of providing a safe place for our homeless population, we also need to consider the safety and security of our county employees. And if this court is going to, or if this board is going to consider these measures, then it should also consider ensuring the safeties of the offices as well as our employees that come to work, that park their car, that walk to and from work, sometimes not during business hours. I can say with particularity that my office has an armory with military grade weapons and an evidence safe. And if this board is serious about solving this problem, then it should also take a look at the other side of the equation, which is ensuring the security of the departments in the county complex. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Wendy Asokato.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair, members of the board. I just wanted to highlight one component of it that Ms. Martinez mentioned that I think is going to be really critical, and that's looking at adding a position that's really focused on the homeless and housing issue for our county. One of the difficulties, the homeless collaboratives come together for a few years, and we've got so many partners doing really good work individually, and we collaborate and share and try to leverage that work. But the truth is there's not one entity that's in charge of this. My department has a small slice of responsibility for the programs that we run. Behavioral health has a small slice of responsibility for the clients that qualify for their services. We have nonprofits that have a role. We have city and county jurisdictions that have different components of responsibility, but there's really not one entity that's in charge of this issue. And so it makes it hard. We don't have someone leading and coordinating and really drafting kind of a master plan and vision for all the components that are needed. I think we're all bringing in our best effort on top of all of our regular duties, because again, this is just a slice of a bigger piece of everyone's pie. And so I think that element, I just don't want that to get lost of identifying and figuring out how we could resource and fund a position that could help with the planning, help think through the coordination and all the components that are needed. I've been up here talking a lot about the permanent housing projects. That's just one piece of the continuum. And we've got a long range plan for an emergency shelter, but nothing short range. And so having someone just help walk us through and leverage all those resources to me is one of the more critical asks today. I know I don't think Ms. Martinez is seeking approval of the project or the position, but just guidance so that efforts could be brought forward for a proposal that could eventually be approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Robert Thayer.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Robert Thayer, Undersheriff. And I'm also a voting member. I was appointed by this board to the Homeless Collaborative back in its inception. And I like to say I was part of the Homeless Collaborative, other Homeless Collaboratives before there were ever Homeless Collaboratives. King's Partnership for Prevention back, CareLink, the Whole Person Care Group, and many of these partnered or sat at the table with many of our community-based organizations who all have the common interest in getting a situation like this resolved. The exciting part is this, is that we've gone from the era of flip charts and flip charts and flip charts and subcommittees to actually something that's palatable to begin working in our communities with. As the sheriff said, is this perfect? No. Is there going to be issues? Sure, there's going to be, and there's things that we're going to have to work through. But the nice part of it is that the governance of at least the county and in the city of Hanford, we now have that ability to, as Mr. Castleman said, to begin governance of this and taking control of it and fine tuning our resources. But it is a great start. It gives hope. I was happy to hear the presentations at this last Homeless Collaborative meeting that finally, after all these years, it seems that it's like, oh my goodness, we've taken a giant step forward, and it's just necessary to do for the betterment of our community. And then we can look back on this in a couple of years and I think all kind of rejoice that it was the right decision to make as this process moves forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
No one else has given me the.
Okay, anybody else like to come forward and share their thoughts? If no one wants to come back up, I'll turn it over to Supervisor Robinson.
First, I empathize with this problem with the downtown businesses greatly. Like Mr. Castleman, I'm a past Main Street president, but I also have been a business owner for 24 years up in Fresno. I managed Hanford Furniture here in town for several years. The problem in those days wasn't nearly what it is now. But up in Fresno, every day, part of my day was inspecting the property. 2 or 3 times a year, it would get broken into. Often, staff would hear something at the back and ask me what it was. It's the faucet. The homeless were washing their dog. They thought I was joking. I wasn't joking. The gentleman behind my business was unfriendly to the homeless. I had a good relationship, a good working relationship with the homeless. He did not, and they firebombed his establishment. They threw a Molotov cocktail in his building. I had to turn off the outside power to my store because they were charging their cell phones almost daily. There were days where I would ask staff about traffic. How come traffic's so low? Nobody would know. Well, then somebody would go to lunch and they'd say, well, there was a homeless person near the front and therefore it's scared away the customers. And then we would have customers come into the store and verify that. So I just have a few comments in this regard, but that's my personal testimony. So why this and why now? Because we've turned a blind eye to this problem plaguing our community long enough. Our downtown businesses have suffered for years as we kick the can. Supervisor Verboon was accosted by a homeless person on his way into Fugazi's. Dan Humison was bitten by a homeless person's dog in front of his Fox Theater, sending him to the ER. Craig Johnson had a homeless encampment in front of his business just last weekend. In front of you are the pictures of that homeless encampment. And I check for needles every time I take my 7-year-old to the park. Yes, I understand this crisis involves mental health, substance abuse, economic factors, and a host of contributing elements, so a great deal of compassion should be considered on both sides. There is no great answer, but we can certainly do better. We need action steps, not talk. The Homeless Collaborative has been talking about this for 4 years, and they recommend establishing a low barrier shelter or a navigation center. Realistically, KCO's navigation center will not be operational for 3 to 4 years. You've heard over 2 years, but 2 years is probably the actual build. We still have to generate the necessary funds to get there. Kings County needs something now. It's a win-win. Homeless would be provided with a night shelter, safety with sheriff deputy oversight, and ease of access to both human and behavioral health services. Businesses throughout our community will begin to experience some relief to the ongoing disruption to their businesses. It's a start, and it's better than doing nothing. It's a prototype we can learn from and change as necessary. Why on county campus? It's already built and available right now. It's a controlled space that we can easily provide county services, security, and shelter. Land procurement and construction will only continue to delay this process, causing additional harm to the community. Remember, this is only a temporary measure as a bridge to KCO's permanent navigation center. It's not perfect, it's just better. In conjunction, the city of Hanford is currently working on a tent ordinance or a camping ordinance to address some of these concerns. My hope is the county will follow suit and adopt an ordinance of their own. Collectively, these efforts will provide law enforcement with the necessary tools they require to assist the community and allow voluntary options like the low barrier night shelter for the homeless to choose. Mayor Payton, Vice Mayor Karras, Supervisor Verboen, Sheriff Robinson, and myself have worked together to begin this process. Let's direct staff to make this happen now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board members, any comments? Direction? Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start my comments off by saying they may be come off a little negative, but I want you to know that I'm keeping an open mind here, and I'm coming here with an open mind this morning. That being said, my initial hearing of this countywide project, if in fact it's a countywide project, which it doesn't sound like it is to me, and here's why. I see the agenda on Friday, and this PowerPoint presentation isn't included. It's good information this morning. Thank you, Carrie. But I didn't have that on Friday. I had the staff background report, which is minimal and doesn't answer any of the questions that I have in front of me this morning. So without knowing that there's all this talk going around and county officials working with Hanford City Council, it comes off as a bad idea to me because of lack of information. A very bad idea. Again, I'm here to have an open mind. And I'm listening to everything that's being said. So thank you everyone for coming this morning. Yeah, I don't understand why I wasn't reached out for. This is county. So I called my Corcoran city manager, Avenel city manager. They haven't been outreached to. I don't know about Armona, Lemoore, Stratford, Kettleman City leadership. So that doesn't come off to me as something for the county. Now, I see that roughly there's about 420 homeless in the data, 380 roughly out of Hanford. So I get why Hanford's in the house this morning, and I understand that this is a Hanford issue. Okay, but the vice mayor is right. There's a Brown Act issue where I understand if Sue Verboen and Sue Robinson are talking, then yeah, they can't talk to any one of us. But that didn't stop nobody else. It didn't stop the vice mayor, didn't stop the mayor of Hanford for calling all 5 of us. Hey, supervisor, heads up, this is coming. Nobody called me. Okay. And I'm not taking that personal, except to say this is why I'm not sitting here coming off too positive this morning, because a lack of information on a very important and critical subject that needs compassion looking at and experienced and professional people. So, Mr. Chairman, you know this. Corcoran, we just underwent through it. We had a major encampment issue, downtown Corcoran, and it affected our businesses. It affected, if you know where that John Marie Park is and where that homeless encampment was for about 3 years, it's right off Main Street in Corcoran, Whitley Avenue. And those homes, their garages are built to their alleyway. So when people come home that live in those houses, they drive through the alley, they park in their garages. On the other side of the alley is the park. It's wide open. And that's where they had to come home and deal with the negative impacts of that park being a homeless encampment. And so, in going to those Corcoran City Council meetings, I heard from those residents who are, it's the same thing that the business owners are saying. And they're right on spot. And the people who live by the encampment that the sheriff shown in his drone footage, you're dealing with people urinating, using the bathroom. We had 2 murders at that park, 2 women murdered. We had multiple arrests for prostitution, the selling of drugs. It's not exposure, people exposing themselves. Catholic Church, Our Lady of Lourdes, is right across the street from that park. They would go over there, steal statues, urinate on the steps of the church. There's nothing positive that's to reach for except for the need to be compassionate. These are still human beings, right? And no one's better than each other. And I get that. But from experience, when the Corcoran City Council, and I commend them, they got language that found a legal way to shut down that park. And they notified the people that were living there well in advance. Well, when the day came at 6 a.m, I went out there, I parked across the street. It wasn't my business, even though it's my district, but it was Corcoran City issue. But I wanted to watch and see how this went down. And city officials come through with the bullhorns, wake people up. Some people are already up. Hey, you guys knew that at 6 a.m. this morning, your tents needed to be packed up and you got to go. And there's a lot of people that helped the homeless there. The mayor of Corcoran, Pat Nolan, she fed them for 3 years. She'd go out there with a barbecue grill, take care of them. Well, the only reason why I got out of my car is because when she was standing there with the chief of police and being compassionate to people and saying, hey, look, I know, but the decision was made, you got to go. I watched her get cussed out and surrounded, called the B word, called every name in the book, and she fed these people. So I got out to stand with her because it's a dangerous situation. So then because I'm there and they know me, now I got cussed out. Police, they were making threats in front of the police department's face and telling them what they were going to do. And by the way, when you shut it down, okay, they stay close by. Experience will tell you that they stay close by. So they stayed across the street, our old closed down Corcoran Hospital building, and they were living on the roof and in the building, and cops were going in there every night telling them to leave. And if you've read the Hanford Sentinel, seen the news, you know that a couple of months ago, our firefighters had to go over there because the homeless started a fire and it burnt down that whole building. It was going to get burned down anyway, quite frankly, but still the people in the neighborhood didn't appreciate it. Their homes were in danger across the street of getting lit on fire. Now, again, that's just from experience. As an elected official, a number of questions come. Okay, sheriff said he's going to be the lead. Does that mean sheriff deputies are going to do the cleanup? Go through there every day? Who's going to fund that? If not the sheriff deputies, is it Public Works? Is it our custodial staff? Mr. Chairman, because, obviously it's different. There's a big difference in coming in here, buffing floors, vacuuming, and cleaning toilets than going around and worrying about stepping on needles, feces. And so our Public Works employees in Corcoran, I can tell you, it hit them, their morale and welfare was impacted because they had to do that every day. That job got put on them and it was stressful. And while you're doing that, you're getting cussed out and threatened by the homeless population. The funding, we don't have the money. So that's why it's going to be a 4/5 vote, because of county policy, whenever you insert brand new funding that don't exist. So 1, we don't have it. 2, you're asking us to do something. Well, we're trying to do things too. We have our firefighters who aren't happy with their salary. We have our sheriff deputies who aren't happy with their salary. And to prioritize general fund money or money that could go to those salaries and those benefits, you're asking us to put them to the side and focus on a major population of Hanford homeless. But I get that you're here, and I'm not shutting it down. Again, I'm keeping an open mind. I imagine, Mr. Chairman, you'll probably end this study session with directing staff to bring back more information. I'm open to more information and questions answered, like where, who is going to clean up. I'm sorry for being lengthy, Mr. Chair, but it's an issue. I was pointed out that it does require a lot of attention. I don't understand why the footage was shown of the encampment, besides saying, hey, there's an encampment nearby Hanford. But based on the lady's comments that came last week, that's not the kind of population that's going to come here. They want to be off the grid. They don't want no one bothering them. And that's why they said, we have our own police station and our own firefighters. There's no way they're going to come here. Okay. Yeah, I get it. It's a problem. I want to be compassionate, but there's a lot of hurdles and it's a lot of weight being put on the county to do something here. And again, the first step, like Corcoran, it's the city of Hanford's. You guys got to do something. And it's more than $1 million a year to KCAO. You guys start first. And then if there's an opportunity here for the county to help, then I'm open to it, but it's very hard, very difficult. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Fagundes?
Yeah, I understand the problem we have here, and I understand it's going to get worse because we advertise actually for those people who come here and live here. But I'm mainly concerned about the safety of the 1,600 people that work here. They have to go and leave every evening and come to work every morning. There's numerous, for 4 years now, I've sat and watched numerous projects get started and not finished for this. Why aren't we finishing the products and what we have for these people? We have things started for them. We're just not finishing. Now we want to start a new one. It's too costly. It's too costly and unsafe for our staff that works here. I think finish. Jeff has got, KCAO's got a good deal going with his new project. I think it's going to be great. But for this, I can't see this project here on this campus because of the safety of the people that we have working here every day. So people don't agree with me, I'm sorry, but that's my thoughts.
Let it out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, as Supervisor Fagundes pointed out, we have a couple of projects going. A couple of them will be done in a couple of months. I think the transition would be better in enhancing the abilities of those locations. As been pointed out, this population is very difficult with people of authority. And it would be better served if it was more in a social services type environment. It will also tie in well with the King's Gospel Mission, which again is only a couple of months away. We did buy extra property for the Sunrise, which is also a couple of months away. I think it would take us a couple of months even to just do what has been suggested at the Old County Jail. I think that has a couple of red flags, you know, okay, so you're putting homeless people in a place that you're going to tear down in a couple of years anyway. I think that's probably not the right message to send, but I think it would kind of make a better sense if we had the Triangle Court had 3 phases going anyway. It would be interesting to see if King's Gospel Mission would be interested in accelerating one of those to a low barrier facility, since it's going to have a more permanent housing again in a couple of months, and hopefully over the years it'll be developed. I think Jeff Gardner's project on 10th also has some potential. Since that's going to be an extended project that is at least 2 or 3 years away, we could certainly kickstart that location with this project. Then I think there are, especially with the pallet structures, there is a facility that's opening up in Kern County. The open house is Friday, if you want to go see it. But I think it would make more sense if we had the ability to have a step up instead of step down type program and allow that kind of temporary structure. Since we're going to put temporary structures in the recreational area, again, of a 60-year-old structure, the closed county jail, I think it would probably be better served if it was somewhere where you had a future instead of a demolition. So thank you for that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you. I believe Sheriff Robinson wants to have a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, I'll keep it brief because I know I spoke already. Just to, for Supervisor Valley's information, I did want to reach out, but I'm also aware of the Brown Act, and I'd already previously spoken with 2 supervisors, so I didn't want to violate the Brown Act and create that chain communication. And so I was hesitant to do that. There's no easy issue here, there just isn't. And so, I understand the comments from the supervisors that aren't necessarily a fan of this, but nobody has taken on this issue in the last few years to do something immediately. And that's what this project offers, is we can do something immediately. And I didn't take on the role of sheriff to just be isolated to the unincorporated area. And I know that none of the board members have done that either, to isolate themselves. And so I don't see it as a city of Hanford issue. And I know that other cities have impacts as well, but the city of Hanford, has the biggest homeless population. And so that's where the challenge is the greatest. And so I think that this is the opportunity to really do something about that. And the study session today is really about just direction. And so if the direction is, hey, find a new location, then let's set a time frame to that, because we've talked about this, and maybe not necessarily in a board meeting, but let's set a time frame. Because if the board were to give direction to say, okay, let's try the temporary spot in the jail, we can have that thing up and running in a short amount of time. I say within about 6 weeks, we could have people sleeping there at night. Other locations that might be an opportunity don't have power, don't have water, they don't have fencing, which we have at the county jail complex. And while I appreciate the district attorney's comments about the safety and security of the complex, I too agree with that, actually, and personally think we need to fence off the entire county complex. Because if you come through the county complex at night, like my staff does, you'll see that there are people around the complex. And we just had an incident last week at the complex with a person in county administration. And so I agree with those comments. And so I personally think the direction should be, okay, let's do something about it. Let's make the county complex more secure as well, because that's an issue. And so, I just think that it's time to do something rather than just keep talking about it. And it's not a single city issue. The city of Avenel, city of Corcoran, city of Lemoore, yes, it impacts them as well. But keep in mind, the jail and the hospitals are in the city of Hanford, and that's why people congregate to the city of Hanford, because that's where the services are. So we have a higher population of that. And, I challenge the board members that aren't a big fan of this to go drive around the city of Hanford and see the issues that are going on with the homeless community, and they're living literally on private property. And we should do something about it, because you, as the governing body of the county, are responsible for the entire county, and including the cities that lie within the county. And so I appreciate the board, and I hope that you'll give direction to do something about this today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I got a few comments myself. So Today's election day. Today's the day where you get to share your ideas and vote for someone to protect your rights. I don't believe that the homeless are doing that today. I think it's our choice as leaders to represent those that pay taxes and have businesses and let them do business in their community and have a safe place to open their doors for their businesses. We talked about the feces, we talked about the fire, we talked about all kinds of stuff. Nobody here is representing the taxpayers or the people that run businesses in the community. I got businesses on Lemoore and Hanford. Supervisor Robinson has one in Fresno and had in Hanford. We talked to Emery Marple. She talked about her businesses. My goal is to protect the rights of the people paying our salary, people paying our taxes and voting us into office. It's not about, hurting the homeless. It's also personal property rights. If I own that property out there on Hume Avenue, I'd be upset that no one protected my right as a taxpayer. I wouldn't pay my property taxes had someone said, well, why don't we just wait till the other one's open? You got 50, 60, 100 people out there leaving feces and trash on my property and no one's doing a damn thing about it. Here we are today saying let's start with one person. Let's take one person off the streets. We're not going to fight with someone. We're going to go grab someone that wants a good night's sleep, bring them in. We'll bring 10 people, 15 people. We're not going to do all 400 people tonight. When Corcoran did what they did, they protected their citizens' rights by removing those people out of their community. We're dealing with those people from Corcoran. Corcoran didn't come ask us, what do you think? You guys have 100 more people. City of Hanford just took it. It wasn't a community effort on that part. Corcoran did what they felt was right for their community, and I applaud them for it. It's our turn. We have to do something, and we need to protect the people that vote us into office. If you don't want to vote, have that, then that's fine. I'm not a big homeless person. I'm doing everything in my power not to become homeless. And I have a business anymore, and Lemoore had some homeless people back in the day, and they took breakers out of my service panel, $1,000 a breaker. And I couldn't even get a new breaker to replace the one they stole. I had a hand make one, then I had to spend $15,000 to replace the whole system because of what he took. That's disrespectful to a business owner that he has to go around and tippy-toe around homeless people because nobody that's elected wants to do a damn thing about it. Homeless Collaborative has had months to work on it. I went to the Homeless Collaborative meeting. I told my story, 15 minutes. I was talked to by council not to go do it because I can't share it with any other board members. I did what I had to do to protect my rights in the Brown Act, so I'm not being investigated or having a public record request on my phone. So I was very careful not to talk to the wrong person. So you can be offended all you want, but I did what was legal, and that was, not get myself in trouble. I'm not a big fan of the homeless. I've been attacked for things that people thought I did that I didn't do. And, I went to a homeless meeting here about a year and a half ago for a city county meeting. I couldn't even get into Fugazi. This one guy had his hands behind his back and he kept trying to chest bump me and trying to get me to pick a fight with him. I didn't know if he had a knife or a bottle. I don't deserve that. The Fugazis didn't deserve that to happen there. They should have had a law in place that removed that person from their property. And so there's where I come from with the homeless deal. Mark Kyrus was kind enough to have a meeting here with us about 6 months ago. We started talking about this off-site and discussing what our ambitions were and what we'd like to see it happen with it. So I applaud the city of Hanford. I don't have that with the city of Corcoran. They went and did what they had to do because they protected their landowner rights. And I applaud them for that. I think Lemoore is doing the same thing at the same time, and Hanford has it. They get the brunt of it. That's where the soup kitchen's at. That's where people hang out. That's where the services are at. So we need to do something immediately so we can be elected in office next time that we're actually doing something to protect taxpayers and business owner rights. So that's all I'm going to say. I think we need to do something. This shelter here was brought up by the sheriff. We've been following the Boise decision for some time to find out what they actually can do. And you saw it. You saw the governor of California go and clean up the city of San Francisco over one night so he could have his meeting there. It's possible. It's going to take revenue. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some attention. And, sitting there talking about it and tabulating who we have in the community is not getting things done. I get tired of people sitting on their ass not doing a damn thing. And this is just an idea. This is what we're going to give direction to staff. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Share your thoughts. But, it's not getting any better. And, Jeff Garner's doing his job with it. KCAO. At the same time, We're years away from that. We can help 10 people, then that's 10 people that we help. And I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have some questions for the sheriff while he's on.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Sheriff, you ready? Supervisor Valley has a question.
Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine. Thank you.
Hey, Sheriff, and I just want to start by saying, I'm not offended, I'm uninformed, and I think that's what the picture I try to paint for not being reached out to here, so I could be prepared for the issue and to have an educated conversation here. This is critical. Sheriff, you said you're the lead. Can you answer my question on cleanup? Is that your deputies cleaning up daily?
Yeah, and
Is that Public Works?
and so I'm in a unique position because, for the last 13 years, I'm in my 14th year now. I've run a jail facility and I've also worked in a jail facility. And so, yeah, I liken it to something similar to that. And we run a lot of inmate programs that you're aware and like the vehicle cleanup program, et cetera. And so, I envision that we would be able to expand those programs and that every day we'd be able to bring a crew of inmates over and to assist in, making sure that everything is clean and sanitary for the next night, and so it's just about developing, ideas and programs. It's not ideal. And so when you talk about the cleanup, yeah, it's ugly. I run a jail and it's ugly. You talk about feces, and luckily we don't have the needle issue in there, but you talk about urine and feces and those types of things. That's what we have in the jail facility. And we clean those up every single day. And so it's a challenge. And so I envision that we'd be able to create an inmate work crew that could come over and help clean. But at the end of the day, there's going to have to be staff that supervise this and oversee it. And right now, as you're well aware from the issue that happened in Corcoran, the property owners get stuck with the cleanup right now. And so, the few images that we showed, the property owner is now on the hook for that cleanup to include, all the nasty things that is entailed in that. So long answer short is I do envision that we'd be able to create an inmate work crew supervised by staff that would go over and do the majority of that unsanitary type of work with gloves and whatever else, we need to provide them.
Thanks for answering that, Sheriff. Just, man, you obviously more than me, but just again, from being there, the closure of the park, I didn't go step on the grass because of the danger of the needles, and our police officers told us do our best to stay off the grass. I don't know about having inmates around needles or other weapons that were found out there in that encampment. And then also there's the question, but I appreciate you, at least partly answering my question that this is not going to be put on Public Works. This is not going to be put on our custodial staff. I feel for the men and women and the deputy sheriffs who may be asked to do that if we got there. That's just not fun. The other question, Sheriff, is what about the rights? If we were to open something up on day one, the homeless folks, they inherit rights. Those rights that are used on the day that we close the homeless shelter, they know the rights, and that's why there's the lawsuit. So I don't know if county council can put some kind of legal conversation into it, but that's concerning right there too. It's not easy. It's not just, hey, let's open it up and come on in.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. There are a couple of comments that I want to make, and one is that this would come with a whole host of risk. There would be risk for premises liability. There are potential civil rights issues for not letting people in or for treating individuals differently. There are potential health and safety hazards. There are potential ADA complaints that could be raised. It's been suggested that the shelter could be raised in 6 weeks. While physically that may be possible, there will definitely be legal hurdles and barriers that will need to be considered, including CEQA review, including building codes, including whether the county intends to declare a shelter crisis in order to avoid CEQA and building codes. So there are a host of issues that if we are going to stay legally compliant, will need to be addressed. And I'm not sure it could be accomplished within that 6-week period.
Thank you. And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, is when we talk about the businesses, and I get it, and I want to help the businesses. You and I, we did a lot during the pandemic. I think over $6 million we put out there to the business owners to help them during the pandemic with those grant monies, 25,000, and not having to be paid back. So I know our record stands strong with our support for downtown business owners countywide. But what about the business owners near the proposed area? Has Applebee's been talked to? Has the mall been talked to? Has the business owners and the doctors and medical folks in the plaza right here to the west, have they been talked to? Can anyone answer that question?
I believe they have not.
Yeah.
Sheriff, you want to address that? I know from what I understand is, this is just a facility to get them in a safe area during the nighttime hours. It's not where they're going to live forever. They're out there now doing whatever they want. And no one's asking the medical clinic or Applebee's now what they want to do. So now that we want to make sure that we protect them, now all of a sudden we got to be concerned. They're going to stay in the facility at night. They're not going to be on the streets. It's going to be better for the community at this time. And if a citizen or a business calls someone and says, "Hey, I got a transient sitting here in front of my business. I can't get out of my building," we grab them and we put them in the facility that night. They stay there. If they're high, they go to jail. And so that's how I understand it. And Sheriff, you could correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and so, my whole idea is there has to be accountability, and Supervisor Valley, you're correct. They have not been reached out to, and that's definitely something that can take place. But let's face it, we're going to go ask them, "Hey, what do you think?" And they're going to say, "Well, I think it's a horrible idea." Because who would say that this is a good idea, right? I mean, that's the reality. But I also operate a jail facility with 6,000 to 8,000 bookings and releases per year. And, we didn't ask the community like, "Hey, do you think it's a good idea to have a jail?" It's not a good idea. Let's face it. Like, that's the reality. But, we were tasked with, being responsible in government and taking on challenging issues. And this is a challenging issue that government has to face, and other communities are doing it. And I think I think you have to have law enforcement involved, and to try to operate a program without law enforcement, to me, is going to be a failure, because there has to be accountability. One of the greatest things that we do is take people to jail when they have a drug problem and have that intervention with them. We have success stories that works. And, unfortunately, some of the legislative laws that have been passed the last few years have taken a lot of that ability away and has compounded the homeless issue. And so, it's one of those deals. There's a liability in this, there's a risk in this, and there's a risk in everything I do every single day.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to be a partner in this and take it on and try to do something to help our community. So yeah, you're right. It's a challenging situation.
I commend you, Sheriff. I mean, to come out and say, "Hey, I'm supportive of this right off the bat," because it sounds like you're there. And again, I'm trying to be very open-minded, but if downtown Hanford business owners are here, there's no reason why the Applebee's folks shouldn't have had. And I'm just saying that for a reference to location, not just Applebee's. I don't get paid by Applebee's. I'm saying that those business owners from over there could have had an opportunity to be here and weigh in. And as far as the jail, I've been here 16 years, just like you. I believe we did ask. We asked not necessarily this facility that we're referring to, but right down the road when we had to. The county was looking at accepting $20 million plus from the state if we open up a re-entry facility. The folks in this neighborhood, they didn't want it. They packed the chambers and they did not want that. Supervisor Eileen Taylor, I think, when she supported it, one, she didn't get reelected. 2 months later, in that area. But people have been asked about it. Lastly, Hanford homeless were in Corcoran. They didn't just come back. The data shows Hanford homeless was at the encampment in Corcoran. I don't blame them because it was a party. There's barbecuing there every night, drinking openly. Everyone got to have a good time there at John Maroon Park, which is named after former county supervisor on public land, that taxpayer zone. Guess who can go enjoy it? The families, the taxpayers, the kids. I grew up there. We barbecue there, hang out, dance there. You couldn't go there. It was a scary place. And again, when you shut it down, they still stick close by. The firefighters would tell you yesterday in Corcoran, homeless went in Corcoran City Hall and pulled a fire alarm. There goes an hour of resources right there between Corcoran staff, firefighters. It's hard. And I don't say that to not be compassionate. I'm saying it's not an easy conversation. But again, Mr. Chair, out of respect to you and Supervisor Robinson, who seem to be the lead.
He's lead.
Okay.
Fails, I got to do it.
I'm open to another agenda item, but with more information. Okay.
I think today we're just looking for direction. I think the staff has heard us all, and we can either give them direction to go forward with it or not. I think Vice Mayor would like to say something.
Yeah, just for clarification, I think one of the things that kind of got missed in the presentation this morning is this is not a shelter. This is going to be, what the proposal is a voluntary overnight sleep facility. And as Supervisor Verboen stated earlier, it's not perfect. We know that. But if I can get 10 off the street tonight and maybe 15 off the street tomorrow, it's better than what we're doing right now. We are doing nothing. It's to provide, it's a starting point. And Supervisor, I applaud you for your comments tonight. And I totally agree with some of the things and the concerns that you might have. I would gladly sit down and share my thoughts and where we're at with you. The outreach, the outreach hasn't occurred because we haven't done anything yet. We're trying to figure out, I mean, it comes back to the not in my backyard, as the sheriff said. I mean, this has been a problem for a long, long time here. And we're dealing with the brunt of it, yes. And Hanford is the county seat, I understand it, but my hopes is that if we could get some direction from you, is then it gives me an opportunity to do some outreach to the other communities, their city councils, which would include Corcoran, Lemoore, Avenel, get those stakeholders in. But I can't do that until I have some sort of direction from the Board of Supervisors that, hey, we'll consider this. So thank you for your time.
One question, Mr. Kairos. So when we talk about overnight facilities, so it's almost sundown downtown, you got the homeless person downtown. If someone called and complained about a homeless person downtown in front of their business, if you call today, there's nothing the police or sheriff can do, correct?
That's correct.
But if we have a no camping ordinance in place, at that point, we can pick that person up and drop them off at the facility, get them off the street.
Well, again, it comes back to this is going to be a voluntary thing. So we can't mandate them because of Boise. The Boise decision basically says you can, if you're homeless and you don't have a place, you have the right to utilize public property, for your sleeping area. So we can't mandate them or take them into custody or do anything like that. We can encourage them to say, hey, we have this facility over here, which could, give you a safer environment, a better environment than where you're at right now, and encourage them to utilize that.
Well, how do you define public property when it's in front of a business? Would that be private property?
Well, the sidewalks, no. I mean, the sidewalks and you get into private property is, I'll give you an example, Samon's Furniture. So they have their main entrance there has like an overhang. I've had multiple conversations with Craig Johnson regarding the dilemma he has and deals with them almost on a daily basis. If they're on his private property, there's nothing we can do. I mean, he could come out and trespass them, And then they go out to the sidewalk in front of his building, and then Boise comes into effect, and we can't say, you shall move. So, you know, we're trying to, and as council stated, I mean, there's so much that is impacting what we can and can't do. This is just kind of try to get a starting point.
Yes, we haven't talked to everybody because we're still trying to figure out what works for us.
Yeah, and what possibly could work, and I know getting council involved and having their input is solid. I mean, it's more than necessary, and they'll give us direction on, you know, the risks and the liability and everything that comes with that.
Yeah, council will definitely be able to advise the board of supervisors as to the risk and liability if you want to move forward with a project such as this. I will say that the proposed project would not allow the county or the city, in my opinion, to criminally enforce a no camping ordinance. That's what Boise does. It says you cannot criminally penalize somebody for violating a no camping ordinance when you don't have another place for them to go.
So we're looking for another place to go.
Right, it's a starting point. It's better than where we're at. It's not great, it's not good, but it's better than where we are.
And it's temporary. I know that Jeff Gardner, I mean, we wish him all the best to get that project moving, but it's slow. And all the other ones we're going, we've had nothing but drama between construction people and managers, and it's just a pain in the butt. So anyway.
Yeah, my hopes was that those other facilities would be open and we'd have that temporary housing and stuff available. You know, but it's not going to take care of the individuals that choose to be on the street.
And the city of Hanford has already done a study session.
That's correct.
And you have an item on your agenda tonight, correct?
Correct.
They have definitely. Supervisor Robinson.
Just a few different points. In regards to reaching out, I really wish that we could have had a conversation in this regard. We have the limitations with the Brown Act. I did have some conversations with others. I don't think that have been brought up. I don't know if Mayor Preciado is still here. He was here earlier. I had conversations with the mayor. Also had some conversations with Councilman David Orr in Lemoore. So yeah, we did try and reach out in this process for the limitations that we have. Once again, this is just a study session. This is just a beginning to this whole process. And I hear you loud and clear, Supervisor Fagundes. We do have some balls in the air, but those are transitional housing balls. And we almost have closure with that. We're a couple months away from closure on several of those items. The problem is we don't have any sheltering options for these folks. Another point I just want to make in terms of the empathy. When I was young, there was a homeless gentleman. Some of you may remember him. His name was Joey, and Joey was one of the few homeless that we had in town. And one day, City Manager Jan Reynolds called my dad and said, "We're moving Joey." Joey was located on 6th Street for a long, long time. And my dad said, "I'll leave Joey alone." They said, "No, I'm sorry, we're going to move Joey." He said, "Great, move Joey to my house." And so Joey lived behind my dad's house most of my life. And every night we went out and we fed Joey. So I have felt this on both sides of the coin. I felt it as a business owner, and I felt it as a person that was helping a homeless person. So I think that we need to do something now. If we continue to put things off, it just continues to harm the businesses. They currently are the ones picking up the needles in front of their businesses. I know at my business, one day I went out and picked up 22 needles in the trash can. So anyway, any help that can be done here for the community at large would be appreciative, but this is where the discussion starts.
Any more comments?
Mr. Chairman, to help you move the conversation along, I'll say that I can only be supportive with my direction would be not to approve moving forward with opening this, but to move forward to get more information, whether it be a second study session. And in that study session, I think staff has a ton of questions that they could better answer on the record and bring back. But that's as far as I could go today, because, without information on financing sources and, we heard from business owners. I want to hear from our organizations here of county employees here too, firefighters, sheriff deputies association, prosecutors association, general employee SEIU, because as Sue Fagunda has pointed out as well, it affects our folks here. We've had women in our admin that had to be walked to their car at night. We've had a couple months ago, we had to call sheriff deputies because they were coming in threatening the clerks coming to the window and shouting threats through. And I'm glad that there is protection there for them. When I got here, anyone could walk in on the clerks. Anyone could walk in on any one of our offices today, for that matter. I mean, we're not secure like that, but at least they got a little bit of security when there was done. So I could be supportive of keeping an open mind, bringing back another study session, but there's got to be some more information.
I've heard you, so.
Mr. Council.
Jim?
Can you say one more thing?
Yes, sir. Think of the microphone so we can record it.
I've been a loud enough voice. I think one thing that's been lost, at least for me in listening to everything this morning, is that I don't think that's going to be overrun there. I think it's going to take some of the homelessness off the street, but I think you're going to find that it's going to be people that want services and that are looking for help and that are looking for maybe a way out and a way up. So I think that's something that's been lost in this discussion. I don't think you're going to see that whole slew full of people show up here at night to want to stay in this area. There's going to be, I assume, some rules, some regulations, and some way in and some way out. It is overnight, it is temporary, but I think you're going to find that the people that show up there are going to be people that actually are looking a way out and looking a way up. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we're limited on size. I don't know what it is. I think my rough estimate would be anywhere between 30 and 60 people max. And that would alleviate the pressure we get on the businesses downtown Hampton. So, Supervisor Robinson.
Yeah, just a couple other kind of definitions with this. So the Boise decision basically says that you need housing for, in this case, I think there's 420 or 417 is the count. So to be compliant with that decision, we would need that many homes for them. It was redefined in September by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which basically said that if you're going to move, say, 9 homeless people, you have to have 9 available. So it's a reinterpretation of that law. This is not Boise compliant. This is a voluntary shelter for folks to go. So just so we understand the process here, I think that also fits with.
Yeah, I need to comment on that because that decision that you're talking about from the Ninth Circuit really was no decision from the Ninth Circuit. It was a stipulation between the parties to a lawsuit, essentially saying that the plaintiff was not going to enforce that element. And it was by agreement of the parties, the stipulation. There was no decision modifying Boise in any way.
Okay.
It was a stipulation of the parties applying to those parties.
So we're still at 4-7.
Yes.
And we're not housing. We're giving them a place to sleep at night.
Yes.
Giving the tools to the police and the sheriff. If someone is asking for help to be removed off the streets and a safe place to sleep, they have it to stay at. So, Kyria, so what are you looking from us? You want us to give you like just a head nod that keep moving forward with it and bring back another study session? Or do you want to, we've heard of everybody's comments tonight. We can go off that.
Yes, I would need direction from your board if you would like us to continue to pursue these efforts, because again, it does take county staff and resources too. And a lot of staff is wondering if this is the route that the board wants to proceed. I do want to know that there is another agenda item for a federal earmark request from the sheriff's office for deputy sheriffs to actually do surveillance for the shelter. So that kind of ties in with this item too, is the board would like to proceed with that. There is a funding request for federal earmark monies for the deputy sheriff, because like Supervisor Valley indicated, we do not have a dedicated funding source.
Right. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to have a second study session so that, that we can discuss this a little bit more and you could get the questions answered that you desire.
Have staff reach out to the immediate staff on the premise to get their ideas of what they would like to see it look like when it's all said and done. I know that there are concerns about people on campus now, and we don't have anybody long-term. I think we'd have someone monitoring our campus at that time if we have people coming and going. I think once you check in the facility, my idea is that they stay there till sunup. And then we have HSA staff or behavioral staff that will be there to assist in any way to get people put in the right direction. Correct? Does anybody have anything against that? That's okay.
No, Mr. Chair, and I think that's good. And I think it's, if we can put a schedule together as to what the development is, both on campus and off campus, and try to get a guideline. I think the temporary structures are available. I don't know about the number available. And I don't know about the logistics of how that all works in. So by creating a timeline and comparing this existing structure with a already existing site, that this would just be an amendment to its operation, would be of interest to me.
Okay. I think the way I vision it is once we start with an ordinance in our community, such as Hanford may or may not do tonight, it gives the option to our CPOs to come up with ideas and churches to come up, and they may house 10 or 15 people or 5 people or 1 person. It gives them that direction that they can help as well. So I don't think it should be solely on the county's backs. I think all communities share in that equally, and we need to do what we can to protect the property rights of the property owners.
Correct. And that's what the unique process of the temporary structures is. You can decentralize them as much as you can centralize. And some individuals that may want to be close to different services. So I think that's the nice part is, do we want a centralized location that may or may not be utilized, or have a decentralized location that meets the needs of that homeless individual?
And I think I don't want to lose focus. We're just looking for an overnight facility. We're not going to house them. We're just going to get them in a safe place to reprieve. They can get a good night's sleep, put their thoughts together, see staff to get some help.
Correct. And that allows for case management to be able to allow that next stage to happen. And that's a more permanent housing opportunity.
Jeff Gardner's forte right there. And I think he would just love to have a pile of money to start that construction right now. So if we can build a model that works, because we're not going to be successful the first time. We're going to need to come up with a model that works that we can share throughout the community. And if the CPO wants to do it, how to grab people off the street, how to get them help, and how that works. So correct. We're going to have resistance. I don't want staff to waste time on someone that's rebellious and doesn't want to be touched. But if he's out there by himself or she's out there by himself, and there's no drugs available, they might start coming back to us to get help, get by the right direction. So it's just a start. But what, you need any more?
Yeah, I'd like to give my comment.
Probably got a comment.
Supervisor Neves, were your comments a second to that motion?
It's a study session. I don't
It's a
think
study
it's going to take formal motions like that, but I think it would be an amendment as to what happens with that next study session.
Okay, this was agendized for direction to be given.
Correct.
So if the board wants to make a formal motion to provide that direction, then it's within the agendized item.
So right now we have a motion by Supervisor Robinson and a second, not yet. Supervisor Fagundes, you like to add any more to this?
I'll almost agree to anything off this campus for housing. If we can figure out a place that won't damage other people's property and it's feasible for everybody. I don't want to see it on this campus at all because of safety for our 1,600 people.
Okay. Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, and council, if it's okay, I think that is Steve Nabs put in an amendment to the motion, just meaning what we're expecting in the study session. So I do appreciate the chance to add that. So the fiscal impacts, Kyria, major at the next study session, that if we pulled our resources, what other departments going to be negatively impacted, what other communities are going to be negatively impacted. And so those types of issues are going to be critical to me. So, but I will be fair though to say that as I'm open-minded, I'm not supportive of what was presented here today just yet, but I'm supportive of coming back.
Okay,
Would your board like us to continue with the homeless coordinator position?
yes. Well, I say yes. Supervisor Robinson?
Yes. Is that an agenda item or?
It's gonna come in the future, but that was part of the discussion was that we are working on a position for the county.
Someone to organize it all so that they can present it to.
And to clarify, it's not someone to oversee the shelter, it's someone who actually would be working with services programming as a liaison, not to run a shelter.
But you're going to bring it back as an agenda item. Why are you pulling us for that right now?
Because it does require HR staff to create a job spec, it is involved a lot of work to put the position together.
If we need 10 tents, well, that person. Someone we can go to, so we're not going with the wrong information, talking to Dominic or Chuck or Kyria, one person that has all the answers that can manage it for us.
Would this person be a resource to all of Kings County, not just this project?
Yes. And for all the departments as well.
Yeah, no, I believe that's needed. I believe that's needed for the betterment of the county. But also put that in your fiscal report. Because we open it up, do we legally have to buy the tents? And what are those costs? All of those, because again, even if there's a majority to say, hey, let's do this, you're still going to have the vote on the fiscal issue, and that's a 4/5 vote.
A second. Do we need to do a roll call vote on this? Or?
Yes, please do a roll call.
Okay, do I have a second on the direction as discussed?
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Robinson, second by Supervisor Neves. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
And then I
Okay,
have Sheriff online also wanting to speak.
Sheriff, you have another comment?
Yeah, just real quick, and I understand the motion and approval to move forward, but I know that Supervisor Fagundes specifically does not want to see it on the county complex. And so I think I was just looking for some clarity there. If that's the majority of the body, then we'll take that off the table. But I only heard one comment on that. So because if we're not going to do it on the county complex, then obviously we have to come up with some other ideas. And so I was just hoping for some clarification there.
So if the way I hear it is it's 4-1 to at least look forward. Fagundes does not want to have it on the site, but in the long scheme of things, we don't want it on site here in a year and a half anyways. We want to find another place. So I think we always should have that option open to move it once we understand what it takes to create it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that's why I spoke so much at length, but it's not 4-1, it's 3-2. And I don't even know if Sue Neves is count a vote to put out there, but I like what the last line you said about you can't meet something with demolition.
Correct.
Yeah, that thought process. I'm 100% in agreement with you.
Right.
That was a great way to sum it up. So that being said, what I'm trying to relate to staff is I'm not supportive on this today, but I am open-minded to make a educated, compassionate decision with more information. That's why I support another study session versus saying this is a bad idea, I can't support it. I don't want to do that. It impacts a lot of effort.
From my thoughts are, I don't want to kick the sheriff's building out of the conversation as yet. But it still needs to be involved. And if we need to find something off campus, that's fine. You're creating a whole new set of problems that will come back to the community once you identify that property. If we can prove we can make it work here, then we can prove we can sell it to the community.
That's what the study session is for. I'm not expecting a different change of venue at the next study session unless someone was proactive to say, hey, I researched these other locations as a side, here's some other locations.
And I'm saying I'm not comfortable going to another location until I can prove that I can make it work.
Yeah.
And I think we can prove we can make it work with 5, 10, 15 people and work from that. And if we're successful, then we can identify a piece of property that we can share that model on, and I can sell it to the community. The community is the hard part because they're the ones that have the say, will either work here or not. So I think we started ourselves in the direction we're going now, get everybody on board here at the county and get to work on it. Good. And we have 5 in favor, Madam Clerk, we have 5 in favor, so item has been discussed thoroughly and we'll come back in 2 to 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
It's your board if you'd like us to come back in about 3 weeks. In my study session, I do plan to do county campus and alternatives. So you have a lot of options.
And then tonight, I think we'll see where the city of Hanford goes with their ordinance. And we're following all kinds of other ordinances happening right now. County of Fresno talking the same thing we're talking about right now. So it's a topic of conversation as we go. So 5 in favor, we've heard you, we hear you, and we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming today too. Appreciate everybody. Okay, we'll go back to regular calendar and we're going to go to item A, Human Service Agency. And we have Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Barboon and members of the board. My name is Christopher Narez, and I have the pleasure of serving as a Deputy Director for the Human Services Agency. Today, I'll be speaking on behalf of Director Elsie Cajo and Deputy Director Monica Connor and the rest of the Human Services Agency. What we are here for today is to consider adopting a resolution proclaiming the month of March 2024 as Social Worker Appreciation Month in Kings County. Our agency is filled with individuals who strive to make the community feel safe, supported, and self-sufficient. Within our agency, we employ numerous of social workers who play a significant role within our community. With March being Social Worker Appreciation Month, we wanted to highlight some of the things that our great team has been able to accomplish. With me today, I have Program Manager Patricia Schubert, who has oversight within child welfare, as well as Jason Kemp-Vanny, who has oversight within in-home supportive services, adult protective services, and public authority. Each of them will speak briefly about each of their programs. Thank you.
Supervisors, Patricia Schubert on behalf of Child Welfare. So today we just wanted to provide the board with a little bit of numbers on behalf of the child abuse, your child welfare services. Over the last year, the child abuse hotline received and answered 2,024 calls of suspected child abuse and neglect. That was an increase of 228 calls from the previous year. Our social worker staff conducted 1,042 investigations of child abuse and neglect. That was about 52 additional investigations from the previous year. We had about 189 kids enter our foster care system, which was a decrease of 7 kids from the previous year. This number is something that we're proud of because it really truly highlights the amount of prevention that we're doing. We helped about 190 kids exit the child welfare system. They exited by either returning to their families. We had 107 children return to their families. We had 35 kids that were adopted, and we had about 40 children that either emancipated out, went into guardianship, or another plan. Currently, our department has about 307 foster care children that are in an out-of-home care setting. About 42% of them are placed with relatives, and a total of 70% of our children that are in foster care are either with relatives or in a resource family community-based home, which is the lowest level of care. We're very proud of our numbers. Today, I brought a couple supervisors with me, Sarah Batita and Jacinta Vargas, who are supervising social workers that oversee the work. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Barboon and the other boards. So I'm going to share some information about the Adults Division. Social workers in the Adults Divisions are advocates, advisors, and counselors that provide support to the elderly and dependent adults within Kings County. On any given day, they can be found walking through homeless encampments, assisting an elderly person with home modernization to prevent homelessness, or standing next to a bedside recipient, completing a reassessment so that they can remain safely in their own home. As Chris explained, I oversee in-home supportive services and adult protective services. In-home supportive services consists of 16 social workers. They complete applications for IHSS. They complete annual reassessments. And they do various changes. Anytime a recipient calls and they have a change in their medical condition, they'll do changes. In 2023, this team of 16 social workers granted 696 applications for IHSS. And they also completed 1,848 annual reassessments. Our applications have increased. This number has doubled from previous years. So we are seeing a lot of increase in home supportive service recipients. The adult service program consists of 4 social workers who last year investigated 529 allegations of abuse. This small team stays busy. Not only do they investigate allegations of abuse with the elderly or dependent adults, but in 2018, we took on a Home Safe grant in which we assist in prevention of homelessness for seniors and dependent adults. In 2023, we aided 44 individuals who were either in danger of becoming homeless or they were actually homeless. So in conclusion, we are asking that the board adopt a resolution proclaiming the month of March 2024 as Social Worker Appreciation Month here in Kings County. The resolution has been reviewed and approved by the County Council as to form. And any one of us are happy to answer any questions. And also, I have 3 of my social service supervisors here with me. Trista oversees APS unit. Margarita and Elsa, they oversee the in-home supportive service program. Any questions, we'll be glad to answer.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
Comments, Chair? I just want to say to the folks in social work, to our county social workers, I know this morning's meeting's probably overshadowed by the homeless study session we just had, but please accept my thank you. I'm not speaking for the board, but I know their thank you as well to all your to your colleagues. So we really appreciate you. We've talked about it. We do this every year. We know that you guys are out there in the trenches. We know that many of you experience PTSD issues from what you have to live with and see every day. And when you leave your office at 4 or 5, it just doesn't shut off. It's with you when you're going to bed at night, when you wake up in the morning. So please can't say thank you enough. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments?
So movement, Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Neves, second by Supervisor Robinson. Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor. We have did a resolution proclaiming that month of March as a social worker appreciation month. And thank you again. Appreciate the work you did.
The luncheon is at the Golf Country Club with Steve Verboon today at noon, so we got to hurry up.
Item B, information technology, John Devlin. Good morning, John.
Morning, Chairman Verboon and fellow board members. What we have before you is our personal computing refresh purchase with Dell Computers. Back in January, your board approved a reallocation of $900,000 from the general fund reserves for the purpose of funding the technology refresh program. This allows us to replace a portion of the county's PC inventory each year. We replace approximately 20% every year for 5 years, and that way we're constantly refreshing. We buy them a 5-year warranty that we're still covered. The cost to purchase this equipment is $245,188. And then it's as if we lease it from ourselves. If you want to call it that, we have the fund. We charge the departments back for it over the 5 years. And then that replenishes the fund to allow us just to keep funding. Anyway, the annualized cost per year for each department is going to be $50,967. And it is budgeted. And then this plan was developed, admin and IT. We used to buy them like a big glut. And so we'd have a huge expense one year and small expenses other years. And it was also very burdensome on IT because that one year we had so many PCs to install, it was very tough to do. So leveling it out makes more sense fiscally, and it makes more sense with the number of people that we have in IT. I already mentioned that we replaced them every 5 years. And what we're going to do is 117 computers to replace totally. It's 75 desktops, 42 laptops, 117 of the conference monitors. It's basically a monitor that has the little pop-up with the webcam in it and the microphone. So, any questions?
Any questions? Moved by Supervisor Fagundes.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Neves. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
John, and I like investing in PCs, but with the power and control of laptops, is there any movement as to just going to a laptop type?
We leave it as an option. Actually, we were going to try to bring this to you earlier, but
Okay.
then when we came back with the teleworking again, we said, well, let's go back. And several departments did switch to laptops rather than desktops. That's why the number, usually it was
Correct.
more. But, and one of the things I didn't point out in this, it is in the letter, but the department heads are still here. This is to replace their primary device. So some departments that have a laptop and a desktop, we can't afford to replace both. So if they get grant funds to replace a laptop, let's say, or if they did a laptop, desktop to replace on their own, they have to do that out of the grant. Otherwise, it's just, they just want.
Correct. And I just wanted to see that as a bigger option as staff had the flexibility of going to a laptop versus a
Yeah, that's
PC.
reflected in this.
Yeah. Thank you.
What has a longer lifespan? PC or I like the laptops, because laptops have a longer lifespan than the PC.
Well, it depends who you ask.
Yeah,
It depends how many Windows updates get put out.
They're the
I will
same.
say one thing, that the nice part, the physical things usually break on a computer, which is the power supplies and also the hard drives. Hard drives are, that's like saying a Betamax now, but it's all SSD, which is chip memory. So those are much more reliable. So it used to be, we hope we can get through the 5-year warranty without replacing too many parts. They're pretty reliable now. So it's just mostly the speed. After so many years, 3 to 4 years is about the max for a laptop, but we are able to get to 5 on these, and they are warranted. So again, with the SSDs, they're still pretty fast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ready, roll call?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Next item will be Public Works. Mitchell Cabrera. Good morning, Mitchell.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mitchell Cabrera, Chief Engineer with the Public Works Department. The first item before your board this morning is a request for approval of a construction agreement with Ardent General as the construction contractor for the Fire Station Number 5 partial remodel project in Armona. The project consists of the expansion of the living quarters at the current facility, extending the apparatus bay, reconstructing the parking lot, new pathways, and other site improvements at the existing fire station in Armona. The project was advertised in October and bids were opened end of November of last year, with Ardent General being the lowest responsible and responsive contractor with their bid amount of $2,770,000 for the total project cost. The project will commence shortly after the agreement has been signed if approved, and it does have a working day for completion, 270 calendar days. Public Works staff has been working, and I would like to thank the fire department staff for being here today. It's a big project. We're excited working with the fire department staff. They will be looking at relocating their staff while construction goes on at the fire station. So the request is to authorize and sign the construction agreement with Ardent General and get this fire station remodeled.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? So moved by Supervisor Fagundes, second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
I'm in favor of looking forward to that construction. So move on. Next item.
Okay, the second item before your board is a request to approve the plans and specifications package and also a request authorizing the Public Works Department to advertise the construction project of the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, Kettleman City General Petroleum Avenue Improvement Project. Back in 2019, the board approved a design contract with Mark Thomas to prepare the plans. This project was piggybacking off of the Safe Routes to School, which did sidewalk and street improvements in Kettleman City. The scope of this project is to extend the General Petroleum Avenue improvements from Fifth Avenue down to First Street, or from Fifth Street down to First Street. It'll be concrete sidewalk, curb, gutters, and other general improvements along that street in Kettleman City. The design was prepared back in 2020, but at the time there was no funding for the construction, so we didn't move forward with the project. November of 2023, the California Housing and Community Development allocated $650,000 for this project through the Community Development Block Grant. So at the time, staff worked with the consultant to get the plans updated, brought the specs up to current date, and ready to get this project going to construction. If approved by the board, it'll be advertised starting this week. So we would advertise for a month to get contractors and hopefully open bids first week of April. All the improvements are going to be done within county property, so they're not impacting right away. Construction would begin May or late June, 35 working days, and hopefully would be done by middle to end of August, early September of this year. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? But Raleigh?
And I'll second, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Just real quick. So this is the road that would complete the curb gutter sidewalk down all the way down the CSD office.
Yes.
No, thanks for targeting that area. We know that's where the community walks go pay their monthly utility bills, and you got the sidewalk, then you end off back into the dirt. So that's with limited resources. That's a perfect target. Thank you.
We have a motion by Supervisor Fagundes, second by Supervisor Valley. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Okay, 5 in favor. We'll approve that presented, and we'll go to item 3.
Okay, the third item and final item before your board is a multi-part item. The first portion of the item is a request from the Public Works Department to have the board reject formally all the bids that were submitted to bid 2024-25, which is the Avenel Cutoff Roadway Improvement Projects. So on June 27th of last year, the board approved the request for bids package, and we advertised the project for construction a couple of times due to some issues that came up in the design. We finally re-advertised the project end of last year, December, and opened bids February of this year. The bids did not come in as expected. They came in at a higher cost than the actual engineer's estimate. One of the reasons was, if your board recalls, the original intent was during construction of the Avenel Cutoff roadway project, the original intent was to keep traffic both ways available for the motoring public's use. That involved using the concrete K-rail similar to state route construction done by Caltrans. The bid item alone for the traffic control was coming in at 2.3 million, averaging on all the bids. That was a little over 1/3 of the total project cost. The request is to reject all those bids, allow Public Works to re-advertise the project with a full closure, which would eliminate the 2.3 million total needed for traffic control, and allow the contractors to provide a bid at a lower rate, since they will have the ability to work on the road as a whole without having to worry about ongoing traffic. One thing the department did consider is the ongoing construction with State Route 41 being closed. Our intent was to get this project, have this project in construction currently. Now we're reevaluating, reassessing. The plan is, if approved by the board, with full closure on the Avenel Cutoff, to begin construction once State Route 41 has been open. So end of August, September, State Route 41 should be open, Caltrans construction should be done, and then we would begin the Avenel Cutoff roadway project. So the request is to reject, formally reject the bids that came in, approve the plans to re-advertise the project, move forward with the project. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Shut down another road. Not in my district. I'm okay.
The impacts to the west side are just, I feel for those folks, man. I feel for them. But the good part is they want it done. We got a lot of complaints on the Avenel Cutoff, so I commend your department for the work and everything. But yeah, the board's right, the impacts, but thanks for not doing it at the same time.
Yeah, we're looking and we're trying to save money. 2.3 million is a lot to spend on traffic control. We'd rather use that on the actual road improvement itself. So we do realize it's a big impact to the motor traffic out there, but it reduces construction window 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, and then we spend the money. There's so many potholes and everything around the county too. It wouldn't be fair countywide to say, hey, we're gonna spend all the money right here and potholes around countywide, and we had ignored those for a couple of years. That's not fair to everybody else either, so.
Okay, is that a motion?
Sure.
Moved by Supervisor Valley.
Second, Mr. Chair, with a comment too, 25th Avenue is still there, that it could take a little bit of the traffic off of that avenue cut off and create it for a hard closure.
So we are looking at 25th Avenue. The limits for the actual project are from the 198, which just north of Laurel.
Correct.
So if you take 25th, you would
Yeah,
step into.
you'd shorten that up and add another phase, but it would give you the opportunity to get the project started with a hard closure. But you're right, it would extend phase 2 and shorten phase 1.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Bill Naps.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm in favor. Thank you, Mitchell. We'll move on now to item D, regular calendar continued, administrative. We have Matthew Boyd today. Morning, Matthew.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Matthew Boyette, Deputy County Administrative Officer, Kings County Administration. So before your board this morning is consideration to participate in the Dry Year Water Transfer Program, which is a program spearheaded by State Water Contractors Incorporated, which is kind of a collaborative agency made up of various state water project contractors that have a contract with the Department of Water Resources for surface water made available through the state water project there. And so what the State Water Contractors Incorporated does is in dry years, they actually facilitate the procurement of additional water supplies for those contractors that wish to participate in the program to be made available for their operations to sustain them for the year. And so with that, the State Water Contractors Incorporated will actually source the water supplies and negotiate the prices of those supplies and then facilitate the buying and selling of those. So with the Department of Water Resources, state water project allocation currently standing at 15%, the State Water Contractors Incorporated has initiated their dry year water transfer program to help the participating contractors procure sufficient supplies for the year. So the county, we've participated in this program numerous times throughout the years. More recently, the last time we participated in this program was 2022. We didn't participate in this last year. Obviously, we had the flood, and so there wasn't a need for increased water supplies because we had more than we can handle here. So us at the county level, we participate in this program on behalf of the Lemoore Naval Air Station. So the Lemoore Naval Air Station has a state water project allocation of surface water under our county contract for that. And so as such, they're able to participate in this dry year water transfer program. And that water is facilitated through the Westlands Water District, which is where the Lemoore Naval Air Station is. And so Lemoore's current request right now in the program is 700 acre feet, which is consistent with the requests that they've had in the past in the same program. So once all of the participants are identified that want to participate in the dry year water transfer program, and all of those folks sign the participation agreements that's before your board this morning, then the State Water Contractors Incorporated will then take that demand and try to source appropriate supplies for that demand. They'll negotiate prices accordingly. And then once a prospective seller is identified and prices are negotiated, then entities that are participating will then be executing buyer-seller agreements to actually finalize the procurement and the sale of that water. And then a third component to that is once the negotiation has been had and the water has been purchased, there's a third part to this where the both the buyer and the seller will have to execute agreements with the Department of Water Resources for the storage and conveyance of that water to actually move the water from the seller to the buyer. So it's a three-part process. Before you, you do have the participation agreement to actually participate in the program. What we do not have before you this morning that we're asking kind of pre-approval for is approval of the buyer-seller agreements and the subsequent storage conveyance agreements, all contingent upon council review and approval. This is consistent with what we've done in the past. As you can imagine, the sourcing and procurement of water and the movement of water happens very fast. And as such, you know, certain county policies and timeframes to get things to you oftentimes don't marry up with the timeframes that are necessary in order to get this executed for the Lemoore Naval Air Station in order to get them the water that they're requesting. So that's part of the recommendation this morning is kind of pre-approval for that, which is historically consistent with what we've done in the past, again, more notably back in 2022. So with that, the recommendation before your board this morning is to approve the agreement with the State Water Contractors Incorporated for participation in the 2024 Dry Year Water Transfer Program effective upon execution by all parties through December 2024 or upon completion of all the duties and obligation of all parties, and authorization for the county administrative officer to sign the agreement with the State Water Contractors Incorporated for participation in the 2024 Dry Year Water Transfer Program, and authorization for the county administrative officer to execute the buyer-seller agreements upon receipt from the State Water Contractors Incorporated, subject to county council review and approval. And finally, authorization for the county administrative officer to execute the storage and conveyance agreements upon receipt by the Department of Water Resources, again, subject to county council review and approval. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Any questions or comments?
So movement, Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Neves, second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson. Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor.
Thank you.
Motion has been approved. Move on now to the next item, and it's administrative. So, Curia?
Yes.
Birthday girl.
So the county entered an agreement with California Forensic Medical Group, CFMG, also known as WellPath, to provide medical and behavioral health care services in the county's local detention facilities. The contract is effective from July 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2024 with a 2-year extension option. The county is in its 4th year with the contract, and its amendment is requested to incorporate additional mental health professional hours in the juvenile center. Currently, they are working only part-time. However, there is a need to increase those hours. And so probation does pay for a partial part of the contract. However, probation department does have funding to actually fund the full-time position. And so that will be billed separately with the county, and the county will now provide full-time mental health professional hours to juvenile hall full-time. The jail has them full-time, so now this would just bring a full-time person for the juvenile hall center. So at this time, we request to approve the 5th Amendment to California Forensic Medical Group Incorporated for the provision of additional mental health professional hours in the Kings County Juvenile Center, retroactive to February 6th, 2024. And the reason why it's retroactive, it took a few weeks to get someone hired on. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Motion approved, second.
Moved by Supervisor Valley.
Second.
By Supervisor Fagundes. Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard
Yes.
Fagundes.
5 in favor. Very much. Move on now to the next item. Matthew.
Yes, thank you again, Matthew Boyette again. So a few years ago, Congress actually announced the return of congressional earmarking, which is a process that allows lawmakers to secure funding for key projects in their home states and districts via the federal appropriations process. And so the House and Senate Appropriations Committee have rebranded earmarks and have instituted a number of reforms kind of aimed at bringing increased accountability and transparency to the process. So on the House side, earmarks are now referred to as community funding requests, or CPFs. On the Senate side, they're known as congressionally directed spending items. And so Congress may only seek earmarked funding for projects that are sponsored by states, local governments, or nonprofit organizations. So As you can imagine, due to the large number of public entities and nonprofits within any congressional district, the earmarking process remains highly competitive. So with that, members of Congress typically only bring forth the projects, a very, very small portion of those projects. And the ones that do get brought forward are the ones that are the most developed, the most shovel-ready. So it's not necessarily like conceptual type projects that they bring forward. So with this, we also, as a county, have an opportunity to submit the same projects through the state budget, which historically the county has received funding through the State Budget Act for one-time funding projects. Our federal lobbyists, Paragon, will be assisting us to bring any approved earmarks forward on the federal side. And they did have a request for your board of any projects that you wish to approve today, that we actually prioritize and rank those accordingly in order of importance, which that actually helps them on their side move these along in that process. So with that, staff have surveyed all of the departments here in the county to see if there were any requests at the department level for such earmark funding. And we did receive two. We received one from the IT department for a Kettleman City broadband connectivity project in the amount of $2,305,462. And we received one from the sheriff's office for the Kings County Cares project in the amount of $329,352. And staff were made aware via Supervisor Robinson on January 30th of a earmark for the rehabilitation of a park there in the Community Services District of Armona in the amount of $825,000. So with that, I'll be bringing up representatives from both of the departments that submitted projects to actually speak and present to your board on their project. So with that, up first, I would like to invite up John Devlin from the IT department. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I heard Matthew right, you're asking us also to prioritize these projects before us today.
Yes, sir.
So you're only going to send one funding request?
No, we're going to send all of them, but Paragon did recommend and request that they be ranked in order of importance by your board.
Oh, got it.
So
Okay.
we can still submit all three or whichever ones you wish to approve, and we'll, rank them.
Thanks for the clarification.
Oh, yeah. Good morning still. The application that I propose is part of the Reconnect grants. The Reconnect grant is for broadband, and it's for rural areas that are not located within a city, a town, or incorporated area that has a population greater than 20,000 inhabitants, or an urbanized area contiguous or adjacent to a town that has a population of 50,000. And Kettleman City definitely qualifies because they're fairly isolated and they've very much been overlooked by ISPs. So the amount of 2.3 million, that was laid out for us when RCRC had Tilson do the high-level design. This amount also includes 102,000 for low-level design. What low-level design is basically like where are we going to put shacks that fibers combine into before they get sent upstream to the bigger internet, things like that, where they're actually going to run cable down streets. I did reach out to Congressman Valadeo's office, and Victor helped me at Senator Mercado's office. I also reached out to Senator Devin Mathis. They're all willing to support this. I did not ask for letters yet because it hasn't been approved by your board. But they were all said that they would get behind this project. Anyway, that's the plan, and you all know about Kettleman. In the report I put in, or the application I put, it's a small rural town with heavy ag roots. It's been overlooked by internet service providers as the median household income is only $20,409. Population is 96.1% Hispanic, and most work in ag. High-speed connectivity will transform available opportunities for this heavily agricultural-based economy. Over for your question.
Are you going to tie in the Jackson Ranch as well, as long as the industrial part of it, where the in-and-out burger is, stuff like that, that part of Kettleman City, or just residential?
This is the actual town of Kettleman City. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I might.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for going after those letters from our state delegation, but make sure you clarify that the ask is for them to go get the money out of state budget as well, not just write a letter to Congress or Senate. We ask them first. So don't lose sight of that when you ask Senator Hurtado to write a letter. Okay, thank you. If you're looking to rank, Mr. Chairman, respectfully, I appreciate all the support to Kettleman, and I always go looking to help them. But this is something important. I know to Supervisor Robinson, he's already spent time and resources with our state lobbying firm, CRISCOM, to go after funding, and I'd like to back him up by ranking Armona's need as number one as we go after federal and putting that part first. And then for input, the Kettleman second and the Kings County Cares third. That would be my input, Mr. Chairman.
Are we going to hear from anybody else on this?
Yes, and just one quick point of clarification on the Kettleman Broadband Connectivity Project. So under that funding category, just to let your board be aware, the category that actually applies to does have a county match of 25%. So with the current scope of that project, the county match on that would be $576,366. So just wanted to clarify that point. And then to your point, sir, yes, I think we have Sheriff Dave Robinson joining us virtually that can speak on the Kings County Cares project. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, members of the board. And so, I won't speak too long on this because we talked a lot about homeless earlier, but this is basically a component to that and just funding 3 deputy sheriffs. And the reason for 3 is because it has to be, something that's a 24/7, 365. And when you calculate that into a shift schedule, for the availability of overnight hours, et cetera, that's why it's 3 positions. And so it's just really to connect, the sheriff's office with whatever shelter is stood up to make sure that we provide some safety and security. And the reason I believe the sheriff's office should take the lead on the safety and security of the shelter, regardless of where it's at, is because we have jurisdiction in the entire county. And when, I think Supervisor Valley pointed it out very well earlier, is that, the homeless problem in Corcoran included people from Hanford. And so with the sheriff's office having jurisdiction everywhere, including the cities, it just makes sense that we would be kind of a lead agency on providing safety and security. And so that's what this request goes towards in the future. And so where it's ranked is of no significance to myself. And so if I'm ranked 3rd, that's great. I do think, though, it's something that our community deserves, and we want to keep, these shelters safe. And so that's the proposal. Keep in mind, or bear in mind, these are one-time funds. And so we would have to try to find another funding source going forward or eliminate the positions if we are awarded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sheriff, wouldn't you agree that the amount of money total, including the CARES, it's a very small ask from the federal government, and our federal lobbyists should hopefully be able to deliver the total amount for all 3 projects. That's a very small amount of money that we're asking for when you look at other counties and what they get. The money they send.
I agree.
Washington, and it comes back.
Yeah, I
I
100% agree with that. Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. Next item.
Yeah, so the last project here requesting is for the Armona Park Rehabilitation Project, and that project is for a total ask of $825,000. So just for the record, just a little background on Armona there. So they have a population of roughly 4,300 folks. A lot of it comprised of young families, 75% of which are Hispanic. There's an employment rate of 56%, and the average income is under $34,000. And so just to kind of give you a little perspective, the state average is $85,000 and the national average is $70,000. So you can clearly see that Armona is in need of many, many resources there. So currently, there's no parks or green space in Armona except for school property. And currently, That place has really old and antiquated and dangerous lighting, which needs to be upgraded to LED lighting. The grounds there are not level, and so they're not safe to play sports such as baseball, softball, soccer, things like that. And the basketball courts there are also in some serious need of rehabilitation. So this is really the only area of recreation for the families of Armona. And, you know, given the employment rate and the income data that I just previously provided, not a lot of discretionary income within the community to go seek alternative areas and means of recreation. So not a lot of disposable income there. So the young families need a safe, affordable option for recreation. And so that concludes my presentation on that project. Sir, I'll just open up to you, Supervisor Robinson, if you wanted to add any more.
Just one point, there are no basketball courts.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and that's one of the main problems. And also, there are no soccer fields either. So currently, there's softball / baseball fields. They've been used for both at different times, but really, they haven't been used in over a decade. So it's just reworking the park so that people actually utilize it. And there's crime elements and so forth that we need to address with the lighting systems. Thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Carrie, you refresh the board's memory, at least mine. So we know we asked Chris.com to go after Armona Park money, but these other two items, Kings County Cares and the broadband, are those in the realm of state budget monies, or we can only ask for federal money for those two projects?
So historically, we didn't bring state budget requests. However, starting last year, we started doing that. So these would be part of a state budget request as well.
Okay, so Chris.com's been tasked, or will they be tasked?
They have not been tasked except Armona.
Okay. Can I ask you this? Learning yesterday that 700,000 in ARPA funds is being returned back to the pot that the board had put out. I'm forgetting what the money was originally used for, but it's coming back, right? So that being said, are those ARPA funds allowable to invest in Armona's park?
I would have to double check on the rulings specifically for that project.
Mr. Chairman, would the board have the appetite to, if that's a legal funding source, to bring that back as an agendized item for the board to vote on investing 700,000 in those returning ARPA funds to the Armona project?
I appreciate the gesture. I too would have to probably, even though I fully support this, but I would probably have to look at that a little bit, a little bit closer just to prioritize it a bit.
The discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, we can bring it for discussion.
I do plan to bring a item to give the board an update on the American Rescue Plan Act funding.
Okay. I don't know what, we got money returned somehow yesterday.
One of the projects for the, that was earmarked for the Cohen Clinic. The Cohen Clinic notified us that they no longer want to go ahead and establish a clinic here this year. So they still want to be in Kings County.
Yeah, that veterans.
I have a question for the IT, John Devlin. So to get broadband, you have to get it out, the money will go to get the broadband to fiber to Kettleman City, or is it already out there?
There's already fiber there. It runs right through town. It actually hooks up to the school. And I think it still goes out to 5 to the industrial area. And so a lot of times the people have to drive out to the 5 if they want to get internet, or they have to go to the school to get internet. They can't get it there in town.
So this brings it to their home.
This is fiber to bring it right to their home, but the fiber goes literally right through the middle of town. So it would be to spread it from that bulk fiber out to the locations. And it's every home, every
Okay, so now we have fiber to the homes. How does that work from there? Do they pay a service fee to AT&T, Verizon?
If
Somebody like
this
that?
was put in, what we'd have to do is look for somebody that would take it over and run it. I'm sure any ISP would take it at that point because it's done.
Yeah.
But they would probably qualify for affordable connectivity program, which I think is probably going to get reissued. Right now that funding is ending in April. So there's nobody else allowed to even apply for that ACP. Anybody who already has it, the funds are only guaranteed through April. Actually, I just got a text that they're pushing
So, when, is this part of Total Connect, with RCRC?
This
Or-
is, and I did check with Barbara Hayes. I said, I don't want this to mess up what we're already doing.
Right.
And she said that what would probably happen is her words, the CPUC would say, well, this gets funded. What we could do is use the money from, if RCRC gets it, to fund other areas that weren't going to be touched in Kings County. So if this money were to come through, that we could use it for Kettleman and then use some of the money for a different area that we're going to not do because we just finished it all.
Thank you. Any more questions from the board? Matthew, are you done with your presentation?
Just with that, I'll just, for the record here, the recommendation before your board is to authorize staff to submit the 3 federal fiscal year 2025 federal earmark project funding submissions. Authorize staff to also submit 3 state budget earmark project funding requests through the state budget, and then authorize the chairman to sign letters of support for the projects submitted to Senator Alex Padilla, Senator LaFonza Butler, and Representative David Valadao.
I just have one quick comment. Since there was no consensus earlier to move forward with the shelter project, the request would have to be modified, the letters to indicate that your board is supporting funding the deputy sheriff. However, there's still modification, an additional location. Just wanted to let you point that out.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because the request currently,
This is taking it out. We may not get it anyways, right?
yes, it's just that it indicates that there's like a consensus for submitting it for the actual location.
We're okay.
Yeah, I'm all right with it.
I lose the opportunity to go after funding for the sheriff's.
And I think the sheriff said it correctly, as long as we just modify it to just indicate that it's for a larger project.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like to make the motion to approve the item, but also with addition that we seek the funding from the state as well. So Armona's already covered the Kings County CARES, and the Kettleman City Broadband is not formally been assigned to CRISCOM to go seek state funding. So I'd like the motion to be approved to include a letter to Senator Hurtado and Assemblymember Mathis for the Kettleman project and the Kings County CARES project. And with the ranking of Armona being 1, Kettleman 2, and
Kettleman will be 3 CARES. We spent a lot of money out there.
I'm fine with that from the fact.
I've been complaining 14 years.
No, you need it.
I had to pay out of pocket the whole time. I know corporate has had
Okay.
broadband for 15 or 16 years. They can watch high-speed internet driving through town with there. So I don't have a problem with helping.
We'll switch
out. But,
We'll switch them out. And actually, when I learned that, I think Matthew said 500,000 county max. I'm like, where's that money gonna come from? So, and again, the federal lobbyists should at least be able to get the whole package anyway. So the ranking should be a moot point, so that for support of the motion, rank Kings County CARES 2nd and Kettleman 3rd.
Good. And I think the deal with the Armona, I think doing the fire station, and if we get the funding to get that park built in the same area behind there, and the lighting is very important. I drive there for dinner once a week, and it needs to be upgraded. So I'm okay with that. And we have a motion and a second, right? Supervisor Valley and Supervisor Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, 5 in favor. Thank you, Matthew. And we are board member comments, reports. So, Supervisor Nevs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Kings County Area Public Transit Agency had their February meeting on the 28th, held the first unmet transit needs public hearing. Testimony regarding trips to Visalia as well as Lemoore Naval Air Station were received. And the public comment period will end on March 27th, if you have an opportunity to discuss that. Other business, the board approved the replacement of electric shuttle bus. The E-Just shuttle has been a real addition to the fleet. There's a lot of pictures out there of it, but unfortunately, it just lacked the reliability needed in a fleet operations. The construction or the development company is allowed to rotate that one out and give us a newer model, hopefully with a little more better reliability. There was also change orders to the transit center regarding some projects that were added and subtracted, as well as a contract with CalSTART, which will begin the discussion on development of a transit needs between Tulare and Kings County. The contract amendment with MV Transportation was also addressed in the needs of the paratransit system, and the go-kart program were approved, and quarter passes as well as free transit days in the program were also approved. The Kings County Association of Governments also held a meeting on the February 28th date. Transportation Development Act estimates were shared with the board and discussion on approval of the overall draft budget of 2024-25. That Caltrans will then go over that budget and bring it back to the board for adoption, probably in April or May, probably May. Caltrans reported on their project activities, as well as the comments on the detour around state highway construction projects between Kettleman City and Stratford. And there was some discussion on that. The second quarter financial reports were received, and information on the nomination of the California Partnership for the San Joaquin Valley was approved with Frank Gornick, Lemoore City Council member, being named, submitted to the governor's office for appointment. He did serve on that commission in his prior life through education, so he is aware of that. Then there was a little bit of a discussion on the Valley Voice trip to Sacramento, and an update on the deputy director job specs that were also part of the agenda discussion. The Lemoore College Golden Eagles held their first round playoff game against the San Joaquin Delta Mustangs on Wednesday, February 28th. They won that contest, the score of 89-83. And the Golden Eagles advanced to round two that were held at San Jose City College on Saturday, March 2nd. Unfortunately, the second round, they lost to the San Jose Jaguars at a contest of 78-72. And I want to thank NorCal Sports TV for carrying the game, and had about 190 active viewers watching that event. On February 29th, leap year, the Kings Waste and Recycling held a special meeting to award the contract for hauling to Jason Proctor Transportation. The Proctor family has held that contract since 1998, with the Jason Proctor picking up the contract in 2009. The rate increases were discussed, along with the fuel surcharge and the consumer price adjustments based on 60% of the San Francisco, Oakland, and Hayward rates, since the San Joaquin Valley does not have our own annual basis. The contract was approved and set to expire in December of 28. The South Fork Kings Sustainability Agency held a special meeting also on February 29th election. The 218 election was, there was a public hearing, and then counted the ballots. The assessment will be $9.80 an acre for a 5-year term, and did pass. With the groundwater sustainability needs, both in the Tulare Lake Basin as well as the South Fork Kings. So now the next event will be in the amendment to the plan, since it was rejected by Department of Water Resources. The board will have an opportunity to look at that on March 14th. The submission is March 16th. And then the Water Board hearing is still scheduled for April 16th. So the status of the basin moving forward continues. An agreement with Kings River Conservation District for administrative outreach and other services was also approved on a short-time basis, as the recruitment for a general manager will begin this week. San Joaquin Valley Regional Planning Agencies, Policy Council had a Zoom meeting on March 1st. Supervisor Verboen and I logged in. The meeting was about the Water Policy Committee activities and approved curtailing some of the water until additional expertise is acquired. The Valley Voice trip is March 13th through the 14th, and the itinerary and the priorities were, and as well as speakers were established. And then on yesterday, Kathy and I had the honor of participating in the Read Across America. It was created to be able to bring the habits and responsibility of reading to lifelong learners and develop stronger reading skills. It always happens the first weekend in March. That happens to fall on the birthday of Dr. Seuss, and that wrote a lot of books. And then the weekend storm activities in the area still had some totals. March 1st, it was an 81% of April 1st historical amounts. Pine Flat still at 72 or 73%. Releases did start down the Kings, and there are producers and growers that are taking water in for pre-irrigation needs and irrigation needs for the summer, and as well as permanent crops. Mill Creek and Piedra continue to add to those flows that are not contained in the watershed area. And then efforts continue to rise to raise the operational level of Pine Flat Reservoir and add another 120,000 acre feet to that structure. So with that, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just want to wish everyone best of luck today on election day, and as well as our colleague who's seeking another term, but everyone who's out there running for the board seat as well. And just wish everybody luck.
Thank you. Supervisor Robinson.
Last week I met with Amory from the chamber, numerous downtown businesses regarding homeless. Met with constituents on compliance issues, and took my kid to Famosa Raceway for the funny car and the dragster races, and realized my true age as I attempted to ride roller coasters at Magic Mountain.
You felt gravity?
Yeah, I'm done. No more roller coasters for me.
I don't have much more to add. Like this, talk about policy council. I'll be gone next week on Tuesday afternoon to speak. I kind of sit in the back, let the other supervisors speak, but apparently I made eye contact, so I'm speaking at every event we go to.
In DC?
No, in Sacramento.
Oh.
And we have lobbyists up there we work with and look for funding. So some of the stuff we talk about here, we talk about there, but mostly transportation issues. And then I just got a picture about an hour ago. We just introduced our new train set called Adventure Cars. The train set we're replacing is 1968. We're going to have 7 sets of those cars. And so they did the ribbon cutting this morning. So I'm the vice chair for San Joaquin, the Amtrak San Joaquin. So the chairman cut the ribbon while I was here. So with that, we'll go on into upcoming events.
Yes, Supervisor, thank you. We have a very lengthy report. We have a month. March is a busy month. So the board received correspondence from the Kings County Ag and Measure Standards dated February 29th regarding disposal of weighing and measure devices. Board also received correspondence for Kathleen Miller dated February 17th regarding AT&T's application to the California Public Utilities Commission. The board received correspondence on February 28th regarding the 2024 Sir Optimus International Live Your Dreams Award Banquet, which is taking place Tuesday, April 16th at 6 p.m. The board received correspondence from the Central California Emergency Medical Services Agency dated February 14th regarding the appointment of Dr. Miranda Lewis as a new EMS medical director. The board received the monthly fund balance report for January 2024 dated February 27th. From the Department of Finance, board received treasury report of cash investments dated January 31st from Department of Finance. The board received Kings County Investment Pool Portfolio dated January 31st from Department of Finance. And the board received correspondence from Elizabeth Rudd dated March 4th regarding invitation to the Kern County Pallet Shelter Village opening. That's taking place this Friday. Board received lastly the 2024 monthly Kings County Investment Pool Transaction Activity Report dated March 1st. For upcoming events, Behavioral Health will host their family member support group today from 5:30 to 7:30. here on campus. Kings County, in partnership with the Central California Blood Bank, will host its blood drive tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I think there was like 8 spots left. This is open to the public and all employees, and employees do really get release time to attend the event. The Kings County Library Hanford branch will host its Maker Monday, March 11th from 3:30 to 4:30, where participant learns to make a mini garden. Also, again, just mentioning that Kings County Library card holders can check out California State Park Pass for free that work to visit more than 200 California parks, lakes, beaches, and monuments. Contact your local branch library for details. The Behavioral Health will host its Veteran Support Group March 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Veterans Memorial Hall in Hanford. Adventist Health will host a free wellness clinic on March 16th from 9 to 2. Medical and dental services, health advice, free haircuts, and community resources to help keep families informed about their feeling their best will take place that night. And then lastly, the Kings County Youth and Government Day will take place Tuesday, March 19th from 8:30 to 1:30 p.m., where about 60 students will come and job shadow for the day. Upcoming agenda items for March 12th, administration has 2, the employee of the quarter, the presentation from RCRC on their strategic plan. County Council has an item regarding appointment to trustee. CDA has an item regarding grant application. DA has an item regarding continued participation in grant programs. Election has an item on the congressional district special primary election funding request. Fire has some Homeland Security grant. Health has 2 items on some data use disclosure and resolution recognizing March 24th as American Red Cross Month. And then lastly, IT has an item regarding hearing a protest award for the Adult Substance Abuse Disorder Treatment Service. That will take place next week. I actually am going to turn it over to County Council. She has a comment on closed session.
Yes, I'm asking that we pull the closed session item for today. There is no longer a need to convene and discuss.
Yep, thank you.
I think the other one is the county librarian, interviews are Monday.
Oh, yes, that will take place Monday. It will be a special meeting with your board. That will take place starting Monday at 9 a.m.
Actually, it'll be 8:30.
Okay, 30.
8:30.
Yes.
You'll send a reminder email, so Friday.
I'll update your calendars.
Okay, with that, if there's no question or comment, this meeting is adjourned. See you next Tuesday. See you next Monday.